Hey everybody, how are you? Oh, here we are. You must be so tired of seeing me. I've been with you live every day for, you've been doing everything with me for a week and a half. I am thrilled because session 4 is just one of my favorites, and oh, I can't wait to talk to you about tribal adornment tonight. I know, how are you? Welcome in. I know. After this, you get a break from me for 4 days. I never get tired of seeing you either, so I'm glad the feeling is mutual. This is session 4. Oh, I forgot my bell. Ring, ring, ring. Let me go grab it. It just feels weird not to have the bell. Let me go get my bell. I'll be right back. You can ring my bell. Session 4. I don't think anybody's new tonight, but just in case. And I love you too, Mama Cole. Just in case you're new, what tonight is crafting. Now tonight you're the craft. And I'm going to tell you something. If you don't have the tools, which was one of these, let's see, is one of these acrylic paint pens. If you don't have that, you can use your shimmer powder, your tribal line powder from the retreat, if you have that. Will work too. Some of you have other tribal markers, and this is just an acrylic paint pen, but it's non-toxic and it's skin safe. So I would just say if you're going to use something else, just make sure it's safe for your skin. I wouldn't want you putting stuff on your skin that ain't good for it. And I'm going to teach you a little bit about how they do this in Madagascar, why they do this in Madagascar, because it's an important practice, and it's actually really fascinating because not only, you can use both. Listen, honey, you can glam yourself up till the cows come home. I'm not going to be doing my face tonight because it's hard to teach you and paint on my face, and I didn't want to bring a mirror in here and be doing this and like not looking at you. So I'm going to be doing my arms and my hands tonight. But you're welcome to do your face, and I would love to see your beautiful face. I have to tell you, some of you can use eyeshadow, you can use blusher, right? You can use eyeliner if you want. Some of you posted pictures of yourself, selfies of yourself after the retreat with the tribal line, the shimmer powder, and the destiny line powder, and it was some of the most beautiful pictures of you I've ever seen. Paulette posted one, Hillary posted one. Those are just two of you that come to mind, and I literally was like in awe of you and how absolutely beautiful you are. And there is something about working with these ancient traditions that brings out some part of our inner goddess that we haven't tapped into before or really spoken to before. So I think that's really cool. Yeah, ash is good too. And you have ash. Somewhere you have ash. I don't have a ton of it right now, but I've got a little bit that I could make happen for myself. So if you have nothing else, go into your your smudging dish or your smudging shell or whatever you're using and get some of your ash and use that. I think that's a great suggestion coming in from Karen today. So thank you for that too. This does come off easily. It really does. And anything you can't get off with soap and water comes right off with rubbing alcohol. So so if you're like, I want to do this with you, but I don't want to look weird tomorrow at work or whatever, I totally get that. I want to look weird tomorrow, so I'm going to really do it up. I want to look as weird as I possibly can. Yeah, you always have ash. You have things you can use. And again, eyeshadow or eyeliner, or you know what else would be really good? Lip liner. Do you have lip liner? Could use that too, right? Oh, it's from Jessica Hicks? Oh, okay. Well, thank you, Jessica Hicks. I'm giving Karen credit for your idea over here. I'm so happy to see you, and I hope that you've enjoyed. After tonight, we are halfway through the year. of Soul Shift and Crystal Masters, which is so crazy to me. It's like, where has the time gone, right? So greetings to Annette, who's just landing, and yeah, I'm very grateful that you're here. So my flow is going to be a little slow, a little easy tonight. We may end up having more time for rabbit hole tonight because our craft is not going to take a full hour and a half. I mean, unless we really get into it, we'll see how it goes. But I have a feeling we're going to have more time for rabbit hole tonight. I'm not sad about that because I always feel like the rabbit hole conversation, like I always tell you this, we could stay up all night and have rabbit hole conversations and have a full slumber party and still probably never get to the bottom of all your questions. So what I'm going to do is see how far we get, do extra rabbit hole. I might just do some readings, some intuitive channeled readings tonight if we have extra time. So is that okay with you if we kind of go with the flow and see where we land? I'm here for it. I'm ready for it. And we'll just go with that flow. Really, really happy to do that. So welcome in. I am going to burn some Palo Santo. I hope you enjoyed our new moon ceremony last night. Thank you to those of you who were there. And if you missed it for any reason, it's still, you can watch the recording. We're still in the new moon window, so you can still go watch that and make sure you set your intentions. Such a perfect new moon, right? For love, especially for unconditional love. And, you know, the way I focused it last night was on your inner child, your inner little one who, no matter how old we get, they still get scared, they still get overwhelmed, they still want to know everything's going to be okay. And what I was saying last night is, at a certain point you realize you're the one who's going to tell your inner child it's okay, you know? At a certain point we lose our parents, right? I've lost half of mine. And then we realize we are the ones, we are the ones that the inner children are waiting for, right? So yeah, I felt it too, and I'm glad you did too. Zoe is still not feeling well, unfortunately, but she's resting. I've been up all night the last 2 nights with Zoe with a fever. She's been in my bed, and I've been taking care of her. So if I seem a little tired, that's why. I mean, I've been up you know, if you have children, you know how when they're sick and they have a high fever, you're waking up not even aware that you're doing it every hour, just touching their forehead. And I'm so accurate. I'm within 0.2 of a degree with my hand. I'm such an experienced mom. So literally last night I'm like, that's 99.8. Okay, now we're at 100.3. And I literally took her temperature. I was half asleep and I'm like, 100.4. Damn, I'm good. So anyway, I will be tending to her after our ceremony tonight. Yeah. I'm real good. Look at me. I'm a thermometer. I would put on my Lamba cloth because I have to tell you, I love this so much. This has become my security blanket. It really has. I don't know if you love yours as much as I love mine, but mine just keeps getting softer and softer and softer. I've slept with it the last couple of nights. Literally, I wrapped it around myself before I got into bed last night and snuggled up with it. I woke up with it around my waist. So, yeah, I hope you're loving yours as much as I'm loving mine. I love that too. So anyway, I would put mine on, but it's 85 degrees where I live today, and hotter than my grandma used to say, it's hotter than a witch's tit, which is really crude. But and I don't know how, I've never touched a witch tit before that I know of, not consciously. So I don't know how hot that is, but my grandma used to say, honey, it is hotter than a witch's tit. And that's how hot it is here in Los Angeles today. Has it been over 100 degrees? Yeah, it's warm here today. I'm not complaining because we don't get humidity here, so. You say witch's tit too? It's so naughty, but it's also really funny. And every time, my grandmother was a minister, so to hear her say, honey, it's hotter than a witch's tit, I used to go, what are you even talking about? I love you, Grandma. I don't know what you were doing, but it was funny and weird. Now you're going to say it, even if it wasn't one of the things that you used to say. You're going to be like, it's hotter than that. Okay, so anyway, I'm going to start off by teaching you a little bit about Madagascar. Listen, I'm open to touching one. I just haven't had that direct lived experience. But, if the universe wants to put that on my radar, I'm not going to shy away. Hotter than the hubs of hell. That's so weird. Do you ever think back to the things they used to say and just go, where did they get that? It's so weird. But, we love them for it. So, yeah. I get sweat under my boobs, too. Do you ever get that? Not the cutest thing, but I sweat under there too. What are you gonna do if you have big boobs, and you get hot, shit happens, right? Okay. Let's move away from boobs and talk about Madagascar. It's too funny. I've never heard hubs of hell, but now I'm gonna do that. The other one I heard is I heard it recently from somebody. It'll come to me, and I was like, well, that's the one I haven't heard before. You're learning something new today in Soul Shifted. You can't say you're not. Okay, so in Madagascar live some of the most beautiful women. And in the southern coastal regions, it's called the Viso. I'm going to show you. I've fallen so in love with these women through their pictures, so I'm going to show them to you. I love women in general. I think women are so beautiful. I love men too. But I think there's just really something about a happy woman. You know how you can tell, let me ask you, let me put it this way. Are you able to tell by looking at a woman? I'm talking about women in particular right now, because women, I think, have a different way of showing happiness on their face, and it's easier to tell with women than it is with men. Are you able to tell when a woman is really happy and when she's faking it? Do you have that gift? Is that a psychic gift? I can tell. I can tell when I'm looking at a woman and she's smiling at me and she is not happy, but she's like, right? Like, and inside she's like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be here. I don't like this. I'm doing this because I have to do it, but I'd rather just not be here at all. And then I can tell when a woman is like straight up just so happy, right? You know that look, right? It's like, okay, these women are really happy. Can't you tell? There's a sparkle in the eye. There's I don't know, there's almost a youthfulness, right? In the eyes of a woman who's really happy. I think you're right. Marty said it's because we were taught to fake it, so we know, like, yeah. I never want you to fake it with me. I don't fake it very well with you either. I don't really fake it that well. And even when a woman, I also love a woman who's not smiling, but is showing her power, right? Look at her. So there she is in her lamba cloth, and she has her face adornment. And what the Viso women tend to do is they tend to paint flowers on their face. What I think would be really beautiful for you to do, I might go grab mine actually, would be to draw your flowers and make the middle of your flowers the destiny line shimmer, the gold shimmer. Wouldn't that be beautiful too? So look at her. She's not saying I'm happy. She's saying I'm here. I'm centered, right? I'm beautiful. I'm in my power. And look at those. Look at the girl on the left. Look at the mystery and the beauty in her eyes, right? And I saved my favorites for last. I just, again, for me, I love photography. I love women, and then I love looking at women from different cultures and studying their traditions and their ways of expressing their creativity. Look at her. Isn't she gorgeous? Look at her eyes. Look at the way the sun is reflecting in her eyes. Isn't she stunning? And then look at her. There's something so youthful and innocent and absolutely beautiful in her face that's mesmerizing to me. But with me, with this one, it's the eyes. The eyes are telling me stories, you know? And you know what's funny? When I look in people's eyes, I can tell you one of my psychic gifts. I have a couple of psychic gifts that we're not going to talk about this year, but I wonder if you guys have the same gifts. One of my psychic gifts is I'm very accurate at telling people if they're going to have children and what the genders will be, what the sex will be of the children. I'm very accurate with that. I've never been wrong yet, which is really something to tell you because I've predicted a lot. I'm very good at telling you if you'll have children, and I'm very good at telling you what the sex of your children will be. That's one of my psychic gifts. The other one of my psychic gifts is I can tell you when I look in your eyes which parent I'm looking at or which relation. Because sometimes I look in eyes and I know I'm not seeing the father or the mother, but I'm seeing a grandparent. I'm very good at that gift too. And you know what's really funny with my eyes? Because I never got to know my grandparents, my grandfather on my mom's side. And I never got to meet my grandmother on my dad's side. So I never got to meet those grandparents. One of them has my eyes, but I never got to see them before they died. And I know that those are my eyes, but I just haven't seen them. My son has my dad's eyes, very much my dad's eyes. My daughter has my husband's eyes, right? So I can tell you right now, I am looking at her dad's eyes. And so what I'm able to do, one of my psychic gifts, is I can look at her and almost not see her anymore. I can see her dad, and then I can tell you that her dad's eyes came from his, either his mother or his aunt. And so I can look past her to see all her relations behind her who have those eyes. It's another gift that I have. It's an interesting gift, right? Honestly, Lorraine Hendricks, I have no idea. And I'm telling you about it tonight because I've never even heard people say these things before. I'm telling you because I've learned over the years that these are gifts that I have and I think they're pretty cool. But I honestly don't know if it's a real gift and if it's got a name. But I can look at you and tell you I am now looking at your aunt on your father's side. And then have you go and look and see, yeah, those are the eyes, right? Very interesting. So I either have my mom's dad's eyes, and again, I never met him. Sad story with my mom's dad, because he ended up dying on Skid Row in Los Angeles, and my mom didn't know. And which is really crazy. He was homeless at the end of his life. None of us had any idea. And when someone dies on Skid Row and they don't have a family, they cremate the body and just dispose of the remains. So there's no grave for my grandfather or any way even to go and connect with him. My mom was really sad because she was like, if she had known, she would have gone and made sure that there was someone to claim him and all those things. So I don't even have a place to go to connect with my grandfather, but, sometimes in journey and ceremony, I will sense his spirit and communicate with him. And part of me feels like I'm looking at you right now through his eyes, which is a pretty cool thing. So anyway, I share all that with you just because I found myself in a trance as I was looking at these pictures and just feeling like, wow, this is really, really an amazing thing, right? Ooh. Yeah. I haven't fully read all your comments, but it'll be interesting when we get to the rabbit hole portion. You're welcome to ask all your questions, and then we can talk about that. Skid Row is what they call the kind of the homeless section of Los Angeles, and that's where my grandfather ended up. Yeah, it's really hard, and we found out about it after he died. My mom had been looking for him for a long time. I know, so we just wanted a way to, give him a proper burial, and it was a very sad moment for my mom when she found that out. Yeah, it's not a place you want to be, unfortunately. Okay, so let me back up. I'm going to talk to you about Madagascar and the reason why we're doing this exercise tonight. I think it is because the eyes don't change, and the eyes, I do think each one of us has a unique sort of eye signature or an eye fingerprint, something about our eyes that's completely unique to us and doesn't get replicated in any other part of our family, right? But I do think our eyes come from certain parts of our lineage. Yeah. Aw, see, Karen said her great uncle was a vagabond his entire life. Isn't that amazing? At least he had a wallet so they could track you guys down. So anyway, I love my eyes. I really do. I've always loved my eyes, and I just wish I knew who to give credit to them for. Very, very sad. Okay, so most of the face painting in Madagascar comes from the southern coastal regions of Madagascar. And we've talked about this before. I've shown you the map and the different parts of Madagascar. It's a beautiful thing. What you have to know is this. This is the coolest part. And I think you'll like kind of appreciate this just because of who you are and how you are. This isn't just for decoration. You know, you and me tonight, what we're going to be doing is just for decoration. We're just making ourselves pretty. But this wasn't just for decoration. This isn't just for decoration in Madagascar. This is a current practice. These are all recent pictures within the last 5 to 10 years, okay? This is sunscreen. Yeah, I'm totally serious. What they do, this is sandalwood powder. What they do is they take the sandalwood bark and they shave it with a stone, and they add water, and then they shave more and they add water, and they shave more and they add water. And so they end up making like a paste. And women in Madagascar, you know, people in Madagascar are called Malagasys, right? Malagasys don't use sunscreen, and they live in Africa, right? Like, I think about sunscreen every single day. It's not zinc. Yeah, Jenny Reeder, although honestly that's a brilliant guess. It really is, Jenny. I would have had the same guess if I didn't know it's sandalwood, but it's white. It's a white sandalwood powder that they shave and add water and blend, and shave and add water and blend. And so they don't burn. It deflects the sun, and it functions as a very strong sunscreen. Isn't that awesome? When I learned that, I was like, well, how cool is that? I would love to be able to do that. You know what I mean? It's like a dual purpose. I'm going to paint my face, and I'm also going to protect my skin at the same time. So I will tell you, in fairness, this is not going to protect your skin. There's no SPF in your acrylic paint markers. So even if you paint yourself 6 ways from Sunday today, you still need to put on your SPF. I use SPF every day. Do you do that really? Tina Matthews says, I do that for a mask with red sandalwood. Isn't that amazing? Yeah. So you're welcome to try it. And you can go down that whole rabbit hole around sandalwood and how it protects from the sun and all those things, but it's a pretty cool thing. I love resourcefulness. You know, I love when different cultures find ways to kind of like achieve 2 goals at once. So one of their goals is, wow, we have to protect ourselves from the sun. How do we do that? And the other goal is, I want to look pretty. Tina Matthews, if you wouldn't mind, I don't want to put any pressure on you at all, but if you wouldn't mind sharing like how you do that, or what that looks like, or, you know, I don't know how much water you add or how you apply it. I personally would be super curious, because I'm always looking for more holistic options to sunscreen. Zinc is good, you know what I mean? I use SPF 50 on my face and body every single day. And that's because my mom was an esthetician, and my mom taught me in my 20s, full SPF every day, no matter where you are going, you have to do it, because it's just, sun damage is so significant to the skin, and it's the #1 reason that we age and our skin becomes dry and wrinkled is because of sun damage. So I never leave the house without sunscreen. And then I use, if I'm going out, I have in my purse something called Bare Minerals, which is like a mineral powder, and it also has sunscreen, so I reapply that as a face powder throughout the day, so my skin is never without sunscreen. But I would love to know more of your kind of, you know, natural tips. You use it like a mud mask. Yes, so teach us all about it. I mean, if you're open to it, I would love to read all about it or hear all about it. Okay, so yeah, so these beautiful women are not just looking pretty, they are also protecting their skin. Now, the other party benefit of this with sandalwood, and Tina can tell us if it works for this too. I will tell you right now, I have been attacked by mosquitoes in the last 2 days. I went outside to water in my garden, and I have 2 big bites here. I have 4 down my back. I have 4 on my feet. I just get devoured by mosquitoes, even here in Southern California. So this is also a mosquito repellent. This sandalwood powder situation that they're doing is a mosquito repellent. Isn't that cool? Yeah, I do SPF on my body, anything that's going to be exposed to the sun. So my arms, my hands, my chest, and my boobs, my neck, my face, everything SPF. And I put my Bare Minerals on my arms, my hands for sure, because again, this is how you avoid age spots. Anything that's going to be touched, I always try to get my back too, and my shoulders, right? Because your shoulders are, it's really easy to miss your shoulders. You know, you're like, oh, I put it on my face, I put it on my neck, and then my shoulders got burned. So anyway, apparently sandalwood is a great mosquito repellent. I'm going to test this theory. So once we get Tina Matthews' recipe for her mud mask, we're all going to be doing this thing, right? So the last thing I put on my face, Vanya, is my moisturizer with SPF. And I've been using the same one for 10 years. It's by Dermalogica. I can tell you what it's called if you're interested. It's a little on the expensive side, but a little goes a long way. I use very little at a time. And my son actually uses it too for baseball because he has my skin. We tend to burn really easily. And so he has a bottle of this in his baseball travel bag. It's called Dermalogica Dynamic Skin Recovery. It's this one right here. SPF 50 Anti-Aging Face Sunscreen Moisturizer. I have never gotten a sunburn in my life, even sitting out for hours in the sun. My phone made my complexion go weird. Even sitting out for hours in bright sunlight with that on, I've never gotten a single sunburn. It's the most effective sunscreen I've ever used. And just a little tiny bit goes a long way. So I do my serums, and I do my vitamin C, and I do my hyaluronic acid, and I do my Golden Goddess, and I do my Bella Blue and all of that. And the last thing I put on is my Dermalogica SPF 50. Yeah, is that the same one you use? My mom swore by Dermalogica because she was trained by Dermalogica. She did her esthetician training at the Dermal Institute here in Southern California. And so that is the best SPF I've ever used in my life. Nothing gets through it. I don't care if you sit on the beach all day long in the roasting sun, you're not going to get burned. It's crazy. So anyway, I don't get anything for telling you that, but I do love to tell you because some of you have kids with very sensitive, delicate skin and you want to go on vacation and make sure they're not going to get a sunburn because it ruins the whole vacation. That is the one. And my son panics. Like, if he can't find it in his baseball bag, he's always like, Mama, where's your magic SPF? Because he knows if he goes and plays a game with that on his face, even if he's in the sun all day long, he's not going to get a sunburn. So, yeah, give that one a go. It has never let me down. I don't get anything for telling you that. Okay, so applied to protect the skin from sun damage, wards off mosquitoes, is said to make the skin more beautiful. And they do talk about face masks like Tina Matthews was talking about, right? It's known as Mason Jouni. The custom is also a common occurrence in the Comoros Islands, where it is said to have originated. And you can see some women, I'll show you this picture too. Here's what it looks like as a face mask. So when they put it all over the face, it looks like that. And then again, when they're just applying it as sort of, an anointing or a decorative process, it looks like that. Oh yeah. SPF starting when you're 30. I started when I was 20, but my mom was ridiculously strict about it. But she wanted me to age well. And you know what? God bless her. I'm so grateful that my mom kicked my ass. She made sure that I used clay. You got to use clay on your face. It extracts dirt from your pores, which prevents acne. So I am so strict about clay. You can use a clay cleanser. I use kale and clay, and I mix it with my cleanser. So she was like, 2 things you have to do. You have to use clay every single day. It's a 2,000-year-old remedy. They started in Mesopotamia with clay. If you use clay in your cleansing routine, you will not break out because it extracts all the dirt from your pores. It's very effective. And then she was strict about SPF. Every single time anything the sun is going to touch or look at, you have to have it covered. 50. Yeah, so I'm glad that those 2 things resonate with you too. Okay, so I'm gonna show you. So there's two ways of doing this activity for today, and I'm gonna breathe with you and meditate with you a little bit before we start. You can go with the flowers, right? You can go with the flowers, and you can see what they've done, right? And you can go and get your Destiny Line powder and fill in the center of your flowers if you want, which I think is super beautiful. And that would allow you to create something like this. Do you see? So you could put your golden shimmer powder right in the middle and then draw your lines. Or you can do something more intricate like this if you look what she's done. And I love doing this. I love doing the dots over my eyebrows. I did this in Tucson, if you remember. There's a lot of pictures of me like this. In fact, my current profile picture on Facebook has my dots over my eyebrows, if you want to see what that looks like. So dots over the eyebrows are super fun. Then she brought it down and did these arrows over her nose. She did these like sort of like chain links over the sides of her cheeks. And then she did the full flowers, you see? I just love her. Look how pretty she is. I don't know why I'm just like, I just want to hug these little ones. I think they're little goddesses. Every time I look at them, I smile because they make me happy. So wherever you are, cutie, we think you're so beautiful, and her too. But anyway, you can see what she did with her design. Brought it up over her forehead. She did a flower right in the center, flower on her cheek, flower on her cheek. And it's almost like a triangle. You see how she brought this? There's like a triangular energy, and then the dots over her eye, over her eyebrows. She could have done the dots under her eyes too, which would have been really beautiful. And then the patterns on her cheeks, which are like these interlocking circles. Super cute. Aren't they pretty, Christina G? I just get so inspired. And that's part of the reason why I'm bringing all of this to you. Now, there are companies out there who are now like capitalizing on this, right? They're taking these African sort of indigenous traditions of tribal lines and drawings using paint and other modalities and other mediums, you know, and trying to bring them forward into modern times, which I think is cool. But we have to give homage to the OGs who've been doing this for thousands of years, and they do it, again, not just for beauty. Now, this is every day that they do it, and their paint, the sandalwood paint, Lauren, is a great question. The sandalwood paint lasts for a couple of days, but they do it, so this is why I was telling you about the sunscreen. They do it because it protects them from the sun. So instead of just kind of slathering it all over, it deflects the sun. So when the sun hits their face, it deflects off of the lines, and so it radiates the sun away from them, prevents them from getting burned. So for them, it's more of a daily, if not weekly, tradition, right? So yeah, and like I said, Jacqueline's saying, you know, I don't have tools, what can I do? And you don't need water with your markers. You can apply directly. But I was mentioning earlier, Jacqueline, some recommendations if you don't have your tools. So you can draw with eyeliner or eyebrow pencil. If you have a lot of you have, like I have a white eyeliner that you can sometimes use for inside your eyes. Zoe loves a white liner inside her eyes. And a lot of you have that. You can go grab that. You can grab some eyeshadow and get a little, you know, a little thin liner brush and use your eyeshadow to draw some lines. You can take the ash out of your smudging dish and you can work with the ash. You can, again, take a little fine brush and apply it, or just take some saliva in your finger and apply it. So I hope that you will improvise, even if you don't have the tools, and make it your own, because it's going to be beautiful. So if you have a white eyeliner or a brown eyeliner or a black eyeliner, these lines and dots don't have to be white. So here's the other thing I want to show you just to inspire you, okay? Because this is more where I'm going to go. These are other African drawings. Oh, I love it. Jacqueline's got white eyeliner. Yeah, she's got it. I was going to say, if you were here with me, I would go grab Zoe's and give it to you, but I'm so glad you have it. Go to your makeup drawer. You've got shit in there that you can use. Go in your makeup drawer. I know you. I have faith in you. You've got stuff. If you have the Sage Goddess palette, you've got some fun eyeshadow colors you can use. Ochre is skin safe. Yeah, so use your ochre, right? Okay, but this is where I'm going. You don't have to go here. You can just do your daisies and leave it there, okay? But I'm going to take it to the next level, as I'm sure you imagined I would. These are other African indigenous patterns, and I just want to inspire you because, again, I'm not doing my face. It's too hard for me to teach you and draw on my face. I really fuck it up. But what I'm going to do is down my arm and my hand and down my arm and my hand. And I'm going to be very intentional with what I'm putting, the lines and shapes I'm going to put on my right arm, I'm going to be sending. The arms, or the lines and shapes I put on my left arm, I'm going to be receiving. And in the African traditions in particular, which is what we're looking at today, certain lines and shapes represent different animals and different energies. And so I'm going to show you 2 different sheets to just kind of describe these things to you. And then you can take a screenshot if you want real quick so that you have it. So over here, this is one tribe's representation of snake. And you can kind of see it's like rectangles, like, you know, lopsided rectangles with 2 lines. And then they have feet, right? That represents the snake. Over here is a centipede. I love this one. It's like a snake skin, little hexagons that they've drawn together. I might try this one today because I'm in this like shedding skin mode right now, and I kind of like that idea. Is anybody else working on releasing energy? I always release at the new moon, and we're still in that new moon window, so I might try this little honeycomb thing. It also looks like corn. And you know, in the Central and Southern American traditions, corn is all about abundance, right? So this can be shedding your skin, or you could look at it as corn and think about it as drawing abundance energy. I thought this ladder pattern was really cool. It's like 3 zigzag lines and then a space and 3 zigzag lines. Almost looks like lightning to me too. This I think is really pretty, day and night. So they have these horizontal diamonds, and then they filled in the rest. Or in our case, you just draw the white diamonds and leave the space around it, right? Over here is fern. Fern is thought to be one of the oldest plants on the planet, so it's thought to hold earth wisdom. Over here, I think this is cute. Look at that. It's rain. It's like raindrops coming. Here's a coiled snake. Here's a snake's belly. Here's a ladder. Maybe you want to draw these horizontal lines to show your growth, right? That you're receiving growth or you're receiving transformation. Is this fun for you? I get really inspired. And then we're just going to sit and paint and talk. I think it's going to be really cool. And then over here, I like this crisscross pattern too. It keeps it really simple. One of the things you're going to notice I tend to incorporate a lot of dots. So I'll draw lines and then I'll do a dot pattern around it. And I don't know why that is, but I've always just felt called to it. Maybe it's something in my, epigenetics that my ancestors used to do it. I don't know. Here's another fern plant. And then down here, more fern, remember, oldest plant on the planet. This is supposed to represent fruit. To me, it looks like dresses. I don't know if that's really fruit to me. I like these parallel lines found on the chest. I don't know what they represent, but then these triangular lines are pretty too. And then I have one more sheet to show you. And again, feel free to take a screenshot. These are more indigenous symbols. Most of them are African in their origin, okay? These are a little more complex, but you guys are artists. I'm not, so I will screw this up really bad. But I wanted to show you, because if you're a really good artist, you may want some of these. Faithfulness is the moon and the star, right? Think ahead. Look at that. It's like a Vajra with 2 loops around it. You see that? There's a loop there and a loop there. I liked this one for good living. Isn't that a pretty symbol? Learn from your mistakes. It's like a heart that swirls around. I like that one too. I like the symbol for truth over here. It's like 2 ovals and then there's diamonds on either side, symbol for truth. Have courage is a heart with a diamond in the center. Royalty, isn't this one interesting? It's 3 concentric circles and the middle one is open. That's the symbol of royalty. I shall meet you again. That's beautiful, isn't it? I shall meet you again. This is the symbol for understanding. 2 good friends. Look at this over here. It does look like 2 little people standing next to each other. And then here's a symbol for peace. It looks like two hearts pointing in opposite directions with a diamond and a dot inside. The eye of love. Looks like the alpha symbol in Greek. You see that? It's like an eye, but the edges are like a heart, right? Where the edge here comes up and over like a heart, and the edge here comes up and over. Aren't they pretty? So these are, let me show you one more time. The camera doesn't look blurry on my end, Chris, but I'm holding it one more time so that you can see it, because it looks real clear to me. Can you see it clearly now, Chris? And then what you can do is you can also Google, these are all from Google, just searching indigenous African symbols. So if you want to search your own and you want to do a Google search, you can find those too. And these are the ones that I pulled up for you because I thought, well, these are ones I think we would have fun doing together. Okay, now I'm going to recommend, if you have your harmonizers, okay, before we do any kind of tattooing or tribal marking or body art of any kind, at least for me, I like to balance my energy, and that's what these harmonizers are for. I don't know about you, but I have worked with them every single day since class, and it has helped me so much. I've been keeping them because I meditate over here every morning in this day bed, and so I've been keeping them there next to my pillows, and just for 5 or 10 minutes holding. Always, again, your shungite is your yin. It's going to be in your left receiving hand, and then your amazonite is your yang. It's going to sit in your right projecting hand, right? There's no paint in your pen. There should be paint in your pen. It's not going to pour out and bleed out, but it should look like that. So yeah, so if you, and if you don't have paint in your pen, we'll replace it for you, but go grab an eyeliner or go grab but try turning your pen upside down, not like this, but try turning it upside down and, sit it down for a little bit. That will call all of the ink into the, down toward the tip too. Okay, so I want you to roll your shoulders back. Let's call your energy into present time. Let's take a nice deep breath together. I'm gonna go, my music stopped for some reason. I'm gonna go turn it on because we need that. Yeah, and Karen may have some recommendations for what to do if your pen is being funky. While I get my music going for us. Can you hear that? Just a little bit of music, right? Yeah, and sometimes when you have a pen too like this, you can we never give you anything for skin use, Ginny Reader, that's not skin safe. Yeah. Yeah. We're always on your side, darling. So just a little bit of music to get us connected. It's nice, isn't it? Just for a minute. So if you've had a hectic day or you just need this chance to connect in and be fully present, that's what we're here for. Is it loud? Okay, let me bring it in a little bit. Okay, I moved it away from the speaker, so let me know now if that's a little bit better. Is that better? Okay, so what I want to do with you is, I taught a little bit of this in the retreat, okay? So what we're going to do is just a couple of little, yeah, I moved it away from the microphone, y'all, so let me know if this is working now. I moved it away. If it's still too loud, I can keep moving it. So I want you to hold, again, your Shungite in your left hand and your Amazonite in your right hand. And I just want you to roll your left shoulder back. Just taking it really easy and really slow. And then I want you to roll your, I'll turn it down. And I want you to roll your right shoulder back. And then roll your left shoulder again. And then your right shoulder. Yeah, I almost can't hear it at all now, so if it's still too loud, I think you guys have to catch up in the feed a little bit, because I can barely hear it, so hopefully it's not too loud for you. Okay, now I want you to raise your hands above your head if you can. If you can't, it's okay. And I want you to hold your harmonizers horizontal like this. And I want you to raise them above your head. And I want you to touch the two together over your head. Okay. And just bring them gently down to the sides. To bring them in front of you and touch them together. Almost like you're offering them. Okay, good, good, good. And take a nice deep breath. And on the exhale, just bringing them back. And again, touching them together above your head. Is this feeling good to you? I want you to bring the left harmonizer down in front of you. Keep your right arm up. And then bring it down to the floor if you can. And now we're going to switch positions. And let's do that one more time. You're so welcome. This is for you. I want this space to be so relaxing and soothing and calming for you. Again, session 4 is about bringing it down and in. It's about closing the month in a sweet way and just feeling connected to your own energy, the energy of the planet. This gives your arm a nice stretch. If you want, you can take that back arm and really stretch it back just a little bit more if you can, if it feels good to you. If not, just leave it right, next to your head. And again, now bring both arms up together. And then bring them down to the sides. And then bring them together right in front of you. And then up like you're offering them. Now I want you to bring your hands together like this and bring them to your heart. Right? I'm glad you're enjoying this. It feels good to me too. I've been doing this every day and I was like, I gotta show this to them. And then what I've been doing is, it's gonna look left to you, but I'm going right. I want you to go right and I want you to make a circle out in front of you. And bring it all the way back to the heart space. That was clockwise. Let's do that one more time. Just making a circle of energy out in front of you, clockwise. Bringing you back. And let's take a nice deep breath there. And exhale. And now let's go counterclockwise. So I'm going to go the opposite direction, going left. Bringing it back to your heart. Let's do one more full circle there. And again, if this is too much, do some modification. Just do a little one. You don't have to, it doesn't have to be big. It can be, everything I'm showing you can be so easily modified, right? Just little movements, but they're so gentle and they're so profound at the same time. And now I want you to bring your hands back to your knees. And I want you to imagine that the energy of the shungite is coming through your left hand. It's coming up over your left forearm to your elbow, up over your shoulder, across your collarbone, and vibrating its way down your right, on the top of your right arm, your elbow, your forearm, into your hand. And just see that loop of energy. And this energy of shungite is purifying, calming, centering. It's also about releasing, letting go, being present. And stay with your breath. And now on the right hand, I want you to imagine the energy of this amazonite coming up over your wrist, forearm, elbow, your upper arm, your shoulder, across your collarbone, and then descending down the left arm, top of your arm, forearm, wrist. And again, this is energy of truth, expression, communication. So it's a purification of your mind, of your words, of your thoughts. It's a purification of your truth, of your essence. And just one more nice deep breath there. Now there's lots of other exercises that we could do with these, right? We could bring the harmonizers to the root chakra and just imagine the balancing, the harmonizing there. And my legs are just, my toes are touching, but whatever's comfortable for you. And then bringing them to the sacral, rolling them out to the ovaries, to the testes, and back together. Bringing them to the sacral or solar plexus. And again, rolling them out, feeling the energy come through and cleanse and clear and balance the digestive system. This one feels really good to me because my solar plexus always just needs that extra love and attention and purification and clarification. Bringing them together. And then up to the heart. And just rolling them out over the heart space. And then bringing them up to the throat. And rolling them out. This feels really good just to do a gentle massage right at your throat chakra. Really nice for for releasing all the energy from the thyroid here, which can become overwhelmed, right? I'm bringing them up here to the third eye. Just a really gentle temple massage right here. And then to the crown. Feels good, doesn't it? And a nice deep breath there. And the last exercise that you can do too is, again, holding them in the appropriate hands, left and right. Your shungite in the left and the amazonite in the right. You can start at your crown and basically do the Kundalini movement, right? So winding over the third eye, expanding over the throat. Winding over the heart, expanding over the solar plexus, winding over the sacral, expanding over the root, and then back up, winding over the sacral, expanding over the solar plexus, winding over the heart, expanding over the throat, winding over the third eye, expanding over the crown, and back together at the top. And then putting your hands flat on the floor if you can. I'm glad you like it. Maybe we should do this at the end of the month, each month, just to close the energy. Because it feels really good. It gives you a good stretch, and it's stretching your energy field too. And remember, anytime you have these within 12 inches of your chakras, they're in the field, right? And Annette was like already there. She was doing it before we even did it, so. Now you should be feeling, how do you feel? I shouldn't tell you how you should be feeling. I feel centered, relaxed, soft, right? And then you could do your breath work from the retreat on top of this, remember? That Kundalini fire breath, and that'll take you to the whole next level. Good. I'm glad you're feeling good. Now, from here, again, you can draw. Do I still have my pen in my boobs? No, okay. You can draw on your face. Like I said, I'm going to be drawing on my arms and my hands. And I'm going to choose a symbol to begin with. I'm going to start with the courage symbol on my left shoulder. And again, the courage symbol that I showed you is a heart. And it has a line down the middle. And then it has a diamond. I might need my readers for this, honey. Don't judge me. Let me see if I can do it without my readers. That's not bad. Now, what I do when I'm doing my tribal painting, and again, if your pen is dry, Karen and Alexis have some tips for you for what to do. You can try putting it in your bra, turn your pen upside down, and kind of shake it a little bit. It might get your pen going. Get your motor running. So what I tend to do is very intuitive, and I'll show you, because I've been doing lines like this for a really long time. So then I kind of follow my intuition. And again, if your pen is not working at all, you can go get an eyeliner, you can go get a lip liner. You can make a little paste in your kitchen. You can go get some, I don't know, cinnamon powder or cardamom powder and blend it with water. If you have sandalwood powder, you can blend it with water and make a little paste, right? And then I just start drawing. So usually what I'll do is dots. And what I do is I ask my spirit guides to draw through my hand. What is it that needs to appear here? And then I start drawing my lines. And one of the pieces I showed you was saying that the 3 lines are rain. And we're still in this new moon in Cancer window. So I'm going to try drawing 3 lines at different points over my heart. And again, you do you. Yours doesn't have to look like mine. It probably won't. And then I just keep going. So I'll narrate kind of what's coming through, you know, my hand and my heart right now. I'm feeling like I want to draw like an infinity symbol in between the lines, which is like an 8. Can you see that okay? I wonder if my other marker is a little bit darker. Let me see. You're about the same. It's okay. Okay. Now I'm going to start to bring the pattern down a little bit. Drawing some more circles. For me, the circles represent endings and beginnings. I probably shouldn't be doing that, but I'm going to do it anyway, because my marker's a little dry too. But it's okay if the lines are subtle. They don't have to be bright, bright, bright white lines. And now what I'm going to do, I'm feeling called to draw a triangle here. And I'm going to start bringing the pattern down. Can you see it? So there's my triangle. I'm going to draw a few more triangles here, there, and then I'm going to draw inverted triangles in between them. And then I'm going to bring some longer lines through. That feels really good. Look at that. I am finding when I push a little harder, it gives me a stronger line. And that feels good. And I'm just imagining energy flowing through my arm right now. Can you guys not see it? And then I'm going to choose another symbol. So I'm going to draw a moon here. I'm going to go back and forth between my pens. So I'm drawing a crescent moon here. Draw a star right here. Yeah, you have to press on the tip a little bit sometimes to get the ink flowing. So I'm drawing my crescent moon. Oh, there we go. Oh, look at that. Yeah, press on the tip a little bit. Do you see how it all of a sudden got darker? Ooh, look at that. Then I'm going to draw a star right here to represent the 5 directions: earth, air, fire, water, spirit. And I'm going to draw, feeling like I need some more dots here just to represent. The dots are feminine. They represent receiving energy. Yeah, you can see it a lot better now, huh? Yeah. Yeah, so push the tip down on a piece of paper. That's definitely helping, making it darker. Oh, nice. I love it. Yay. I'm going to come back up to my heart now and just darken that a little bit. So this is courage. Courage wrapped in love. Can you see it? Aww. It's so sweet, Deborah Lockwood. Mwah. And then I'll go back in here and redraw my lines. And my triangles. Can you see it better now, my little pattern? I mean, it's nothing special, but it matters to me, you know? The triangles represent balance. And as above, so below. As above, so below, right? And then these circles for me represent just the opening, you know? Opening new ways of seeing and new ways of being. It also can be like tears that we shed. Yeah. Feeling that Cancer new moon energy today for sure. It's funny because I've felt my mom so much the last 24 hours. But it's super maternal energy, right? I don't know when I'm going to make my moons permanent because my husband is very anti-tattoo. He doesn't like them. So I keep making them just my temporaries. Although my whole team thinks it's funny. They're like, Dave, she has them on all the time. And then what I'm going to do, my other favorite thing to do, I'm going to show you, is to work on my hands. So I always do this actually right before ayahuasca ceremony, which I'm not doing right now, but I do want to show this to you because you may love this technique and I want to share it with you. This isn't from Madagascar. This is from, this is more of a central indigenous practice, okay? But you draw prayer lines on your hands, okay? I'm right-handed, so I always do them on my left hand. You don't have to do them on both hands. But what I like to do, and you can do it with your jewelry on or you can take your jewelry off. I do it with my jewelry on because I always have jewelry. I'll draw something around the ring, like a symbol around the ring, you know, like an arrow above it. And then I draw individual lines. And as I draw each line, I say a prayer. So a prayer for peace, a prayer for health, a prayer for love. And then I'll draw a triangle to send that prayer skyward. And then I draw more lines, a prayer for wisdom, a prayer for compassion. And then I draw a triangle to send that prayer skyward. And then on my middle finger, same thing. So I'll draw an arch above my ring. And then I'll draw a line for beauty. I'll draw a line for truth. And I'll draw a line for clarity. And then I draw a triangle facing up to send the prayer skyward. And then I'll draw a line for open-heartedness, for bravery, and then a triangle pointing up to send the prayer skyward. Feels good, doesn't it? And then I'll draw a line for courage, a line for commitment, a line for, did I say strength already? And then I'll draw a triangle pointing up to send the prayer skyward. A line for love, a line for honesty, and a triangle pointing up to send the prayer skyward. Mm-hmm. Can you not see my hand? I hope you can see my hand. Mm-hmm. Yeah. He feels so strongly about it that I don't take issue with it. So there's certain things, you learn to let go over the years. I would be covered in tattoos. If he liked them, I would have them up to my neck. So maybe it's good that he doesn't like them. This line is for tenderness, unity, and then a triangle pointing up to send the prayer skyward. A line for presence. A line for dreams come true. And then a triangle pointing up to send the prayer skyward. And then you can take it down, your hand the same way. So underneath your rings, a line for authenticity. And a line for beauty. And a line for self-love. And a triangle pointing downward to embody that. And on this finger, a line for wisdom, a line for patience, a line for gentleness, tenderness again, and a triangle pointing down to embody those. Yeah, and again, you can use whatever you want to use or whatever's working for you. Over here, a line for love, a line for peace, and a triangle pointing downward to embody those energies. So these are our prayers going up skyward. This is what I do before ayahuasca. And then the lines going downward, that's what I'm going to bring. So I'm going to be this, and Spirit's going to bring that. Does that make sense? And then over here, a line for vision, a line for discernment, a line for intuition, and then a triangle pointing downward to embody those. And then on my thumb, feels good, doesn't it? Yeah. I actually have a tattoo artist who's excited to work with me, and she's here in LA, and she's willing to come and work with me at my house, and she's super magical. She's a tattoo artist, she's a performance artist, she's a sacred geometry expert, and she's like totally ready to do my moons and do all kinds of sacred geometry around it. And so I have her on speed dial if he ever changes his mind. I am going to do my eyebrows. I am going to do microblading of my eyebrows. I found a woman in Orange County who does the soft microblading, because I have to fill in my eyebrows. I don't have good eyebrows. They're kind of sparse. And so I am going to do microblading, and he's okay with that. So it'll just look like this, but all the time, even when I'm not using eyebrow pencil, which is good for me. That's genetic. My mom had 0 eyebrows by the time she was my age. I have some, but I have to fill them in every day. So last but not least, a line for trust, a line for surrender, a line for hope, and a triangle pointing down to embody all of that. How does it feel? Microblading has changed your life. Thank you for letting me that know, Amanda. I found her on Instagram, and she just comes so well recommended, so I'm excited about it. Yeah, I'll show you her Instagram. Someone I know, Morgan Beck, who some of you may know, she's married to Bodie Miller. Her daughter died of, she's well known because, unfortunately, because her daughter died by drowning a couple of years ago. So she's now an advocate for teaching babies how to swim. But anyway, so Morgan recommended Jessie, and Jessie is the microblader. So here is Jessie's Instagram if you want Jessie's information. Can you see her? Jessie_loft_. Yeah. But she does this, where was the one she did? It was so beautiful. She does this really soft technique where they're not super dark. Look at that. She's really good at it. So this is kind of like me now, and that'll be me after. Isn't that cool? Yeah, she's really good. My hairdresser's name is Cece Hinojosa in Redondo Beach, and she's always taking new clients, and she's amazing. And she's my friend on Facebook, so I highly recommend her. She's doing a keratin treatment on me tomorrow, so I can show you her information too. That's my hairdresser, Cecilia Hinojosa. So you can go friend her on Facebook and then message her and look at her little daughter up there. She's such a little cutie patootie, but she's an amazing hairdresser. She's been my hairdresser for 7 years. She's really, really good. And she's affordable too, and she's my friend. She's one of my closest friends. So you'll love her. I fell in love with her. I wasn't expecting to find a bestie, but I just love her. We've been through a lot together, so those are all my peoples. Okay, so how are you feeling? Are you feeling relaxed? You're feeling adorned, right? And this is not going to protect you from the sun, but it does get you into the groove for our work together. And cheers to that. Okay. I'm going to leave the music playing because it's just so nice. But now we're going to switch gears to Rabbit Hole. So that concludes our work on Madagascar for June. And I hope you enjoyed every minute of it. So for the next hour and a half, you're feeling sexy, you're feeling chill, and feeling nice. I love it. That's exactly how I want you to feel. All those things. And I'm glad you're here. So for the next hour and a half, there's nothing off limits. And like I always say, if you're just here for class, you can sign off now if the chit chat is too much for you or not that interesting or whatever. But I feel like we go some interesting places when we have these rabbit hole conversations. But you're so welcome. So yeah, so tonight, what's on your mind? Where are we going? I'll go wherever you lead. I'm just here for the whole thing. Oh, I will ask her, Karina. That's very cool. Yeah, her keratin treatment. I just had keratin done for Zoe because Zoe was just getting a lot of frizz and it was driving her crazy. So I gifted Zoe a keratin treatment and it has completely changed Zoe's life. She loves it so much. So now you're feeling like you need a tattoo. Well, if you're not married to my husband, I think you can rock it. I know, right? Yeah. Okay, so where are we going? Colette said, you were talking about using clay on your face every day. Exactly how would you suggest using it? So, yeah, we can start here. I'm going to burn a little incense, too. I brought my burner over to burn it. I've been loving these little vanilla cones we gave you. So I'm going to burn one of these while we chat. And you can... Oh. You can burn them on any heat-proof surface, but I'm so partial to my burner from our work in Mexico. I just love it so much. So the at Sage Goddess we have two different kinds of clay. We have and we made them in-house. We have a pink kaolin clay that we made with rose geranium, and then we have a green kaolin clay that we made with patchouli and lavender, I think. And so what you do is you take your regular face wash and sprinkle just a little bit of the clay in it, and what it does is it creates an exfoliant. So whatever your daily cleanser is, you just add a little bit of the clay to it, rub it between your hands, wash your face, but your skin is going to feel so clean. It's like cleaner than you're used to your skin feeling, almost a little tight. And so then you go in with your serums and your moisturizers, and I add it to my cleanser. Or you can leave, you can add a lot of clay to a little bit of cleanser and almost make it like a mask and leave it on for 5-10 minutes. Feels really good. Let's see. Going back up in the feed. Okay. Yeah, rabbit hole. What are energy barriers around your purse? You mean like, explain what you mean, Becky Lewis, so I can answer your question. Do you mean like my handbag? I always have black tourmaline in everything. Purse, car, house. So I always have just a little piece of black tourmaline around everything. And then we've had these, I don't know if you saw these. This is Isurine. We just brought these out yesterday, Monday. We got little tiny pieces of Isurine. These are 75 cents. And I've been recommending to even my personal best friends that they go on the website and get them. Everything's 23% off right now. The code is, what is the code? I don't know. Karen will tell you what the code is. I can never remember the code. I think it's, is it Flash? I can't remember. But anyway, this is a great, under $1 way to protect your auric field. So I carry a piece of this size in my bra. Again, this I have in my car. Some people attach this to their phone because Isurine is also known to protect you from electromagnetic currents. I love little, really affordable, tiny pieces of stones like this. So if you don't have Isurine and you don't want to spend more than $1, that's a great way to work with a really powerful cleanser and protector. Because shungite filters, but it's not really protective. It's just clearing. So black tourmaline and Isurine are the ones that come in as protectors in my experience. You're so welcome, Coco. I'm glad you liked it, and I'm glad you liked using the harmonizers too. We'll have to make a note of it, Karen and Alexis, that everybody liked the little harmonizer yin flow that we did. Yeah, it's like a combination of crystal healing and yin yoga, but just sweet, gentle movements. So good. I love that. Yeah, Mackenzie said I adorned and added to my tattoos. I should have kind of worked with my moons a little bit more than I did, but yeah, no, actually Keratin's really good. Zoe's hair is double process bleached, and then we do keratin on top of that, and it actually seals the cuticle so it doesn't split, because her hair was starting to split. So it actually helps bleached hair. It doesn't hurt it. My hair is not bleached at all. I deposit color because my hair is 100% gray. So for me, I can use it, and it's just, my hair looks so healthy afterward, but you can use it on bleached hair too. I love it. Karina said, so fun. From my shoulder to my fingertips, all tattooed with white pens. I want to see pictures. I love it so much. Yeah, and there is a clay mask. It's not a Sage Goddess thing, but some people swear by it. You guys probably know about it too. It's called Egyptian Magic, I think. Do you guys know about this on Amazon? Now I'm going to tell you, I tried it and I couldn't. It was too much for me. It stung my skin. It burned my skin a little bit. So I bought it. I tried it. I didn't like it. I gave it to my friend who loves it. And she uses it, so a lot of people use the Egyptian mask with apple cider vinegar, which, I mean, I don't know. I don't think my skin could take it, but some people really love it and swear by it. So, and it's not that expensive. Again, I think it's called Egyptian Magic. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong on that, but that's on Amazon. Yeah. Yeah, you know what, Annette? Karen, will you bubble that up to Brooklyn about the vanilla cones? Because they would like to have some more of those. I would too. I've been really hoarding mine and not using them except for class or when I'm preparing class because I don't want to run out of them. So let's see. Hillary said, oh, good, good, good. Hillary said, during the retreat you mentioned about working with guides before sleep. Sometimes when I'm in that state, I sort of dream. I see myself fall and my body wakes up. How do I work with my guides instead? Just set your intentions. You know, the guides are working with you whether you're conscious of it or not. And most of the time you're not going to be conscious of it. You know, it's not like the guides are like, hey, Hillary, we're all here and we're working with you right now. They usually wait until you're in those deeper states, into that theta state, and even below that, right, to access your energy field. They need you kind of knocked out. That's why when people are like, oh, you know, I meditate, but I always fall asleep. I don't think I'm doing it right. And it's like, no, you're doing it totally right. Falling asleep means you've completely surrendered your conscious mind. And you are in the deepest state of human awareness. The deepest state. So falling asleep never means you didn't do it right or the guides aren't there or, you know, it just means you surrendered. And that's the biggest part of the process, right? I don't think they have at-home keratin treatments, and it takes about 3 hours. So yeah, if you can't go to a salon, you may want to wait until you can, or find someone who can come to you to do it. Cece's offered to do it with me here at the house, but I prefer to go to her. It's just easier that way because I don't have the shampoo bowl and, like, you know, it's not easy. My house is not a hair salon. Some people are real fancy and they've got like a hair salon set up at their house. I have a friend like that. That's not what's happening over here. I have a shower and it's like, I don't want to have go in the shower and then she's waiting for me to come out. So it's just easier to go and do it there. Aztec Secret. That's the one. Not Egyptian Secret, Aztec Secret. But I can't do it. It's too hard for me. So I don't know. Rosemary says, where is the Asherite stone? Which one are you talking? Oh, do you mean the Isurine? Karen can link to it for you. It's on, if you go to sagegoddess.com/chakra stones. Do you know about this? So every week we have a new set of 7 stones for the different chakras. And so you have to go to sagegoddess.com/chakra stones, and then you'll see the 7 that we've chosen for this week for the 7 chakras. And that's where you'll find the 75-cent Isurine pieces. Rabbit Hole from Vanya. Let's explore your favorite gift. How did you discover it? How did you develop it? It's funny. I'm going to take a different twist on that question, if you don't mind. Because I definitely have psychic gifts. I was always jealous of my mom because she had different gifts than I do. And I don't know if you've ever had that experience where, like, you have gifts, but, like, your friends have other gifts that you don't have, or, like, your mom had a gift, or your neighbor or your sister or whatever. My mom could automatic write. Now, I will tell you, I've never really tried, because every time she did it, she was inviting in some really strange energies into her space and into her field, and it scared me. So on the one hand, I've always been jealous, and on the other hand, I have to say, I don't know if I have that gift. I might have it, and I just have never really put it to the test, because she would go into a full trance and then start writing in languages that she didn't know. And in my experience, that means that there has to be an entity or a spirit that's taking over your body to move through you. And she would say that that's what happened. She would say, yeah, I totally, when I was automatic writing, it wasn't me doing it. I draw a line around energies coming into my body and taking over my body, and she didn't have that when she was young. When she got older, she got scared and she stopped doing stuff like that. But when she was younger, she was all into it, and she was doing, I've told you some of the stories. I mean, some crazy shit happened, right? Crazy shit where, like, her family was like, what the fuck are you doing, right? But I think my favorite gift of all the gifts I have, you know, it's a blessing and a curse, I would say. I love my clairsentience. I really do, Vanya. I'm just being really super candid with you. I do love it. But when there's trouble, my entire digestive system is in chaos. And it takes a little while to get it back online, because when I can tell when something bad or difficult is about to happen, because even if I've eaten super clean and super healthy and not had any sugar or sweets or alcohol or anything, and I've been only drinking tea and water, like perfect diet, my entire digestive system turns, and it's like I don't have solid bowel movements like for a week. And I love it because it never fails. I can always tell when something's coming, because my whole system turns inside out. So on the one hand, I love it because that's my internal radar system. What I don't love is how long it takes my system to get back online and regulate once the challenge, whatever it is, has passed. And I'm getting better at knowing what's coming. So I can feel my stomach turn, my appetite shuts off, my metabolism shuts down, like the whole system just starts to like grind to a halt. But then the coming back online process is really difficult after that. But I wouldn't trade it, because I'm never caught that off guard when things are happening. It happened before my mom died. It's always happened before anything big or challenging. It's like my body was very accurate. Egyptian magic is the lotion that Yasmina uses, but the Aztec secret is the clay. I didn't know that. So what's Egyptian magic then? I don't think I heard her talk about that. Yasmina uses like all natural stuff. She really does. She's almost too natural for me. I mean, yeah. But she does get facials. She's very good about getting facials. So we were going to drum tonight, Victoria, and then I decided to do the activity with the harmonizers instead, because we've been drumming so much. You know, I drummed yesterday at the new moon, and I drummed at the Sweet Bee ceremony, and then we drummed during session 3 last week, and we drummed at the retreat. So a lot of people, Victoria, have been with me now for over a week, just drumming. And I know everybody loves it, but I thought, we only use the harmonizers once this month. And so I thought maybe taking it in a different direction would be good. So if you were looking forward to it and you're disappointed, which I hope not, I apologize, but I thought doing something with those would be really sweet for tonight. So sometimes I switch gears. Oh. What are my top 10 face products other than SG stuff? I love Monastery skincare. The website is monasterymade.com. The owner's name is Athena, and all of her herbs and flowers come from Greece, and she designed everything by hand. They're incredibly well crafted, very, very, very powerful products. My favorite product of hers is called XX, and it's a rose glycolic serum. I really, really like that. The Dermalogica SPF that I told you about is really, really good. There's a mouthwash, a hydrogen peroxide mouthwash that my dentist turned me on to that I absolutely love. And I could show you that too. I think it's by Crest, but it's a peroxide mouthwash. There's a lip gloss by Dr. Hauschka. Is this interesting to all of you? I hope so. I'll try to be quick if it's not. There's a lip product by Dr. Hauschka that Yasmina turned me on to, that I keep by my bedside, and I really like it because my lips get very dry. And this is that. It's called the Lip Care Stick. It's super, super good. That I really, really like. And again, it lasts forever. Almay's Goddess Gloss is my favorite lip gloss. You can get that at CVS. This is my favorite color of it, and I can't read the name of it, but it looks like that. I can't read that. Who the hell can read that? Can you read that? I mean, what? Why even put a sticker on there? Even when I was young and I had good vision, I couldn't read shit like that. The number one thing my mom taught me, though, for skincare And I think it's the reason that I don't have very many wrinkles. And she learned this from the Dermalogica Institute. You need to use these to wash your face. These compressed cellulose facial sponges. I get the 50 count packs and they're like $9 and it lasts me for about, I use 2 a week, or 2 every 4 days or so. So that's like, every 3 months or 4 months I have to get more. I've got Zoe using it. It exfoliates your skin, so I don't use anything but those to wash my face. That's some of my favorite products. Yeah, I'm glad you like the cones. Yeah, I'm going back through the rest of your questions. Bentonite clay on your hair once a month with ACV. Didn't know about that, Sydney Woods. That's really good to know. Clay for your hair. I had no idea. That's why I love these conversations sometimes, because I learn things too. Emily's asking, what are my favorite things to do with my kids? She said her son is 13 and he isn't wanting to do things as much anymore. 13 Emily Butler is when they stop wanting to do stuff with you. And so it might sound really silly, but my son and I, we talk. We spend time sitting and talking. We go through TikTok together. He likes to look at recipes. What I try to do with my kids is figure out what they're interested in, and then try to hop on board. Like Zoe's obsessed with High School Musical right now, so we're watching High School Musical episodes. And my son loves to look at recipes on TikTok and talk about them, and then get the ingredients and make them. So that's something that he likes to do. I like to take my kids out to eat. Zoe likes to go shopping. Nick doesn't like to go shopping as much, but he does like to go out to eat. So I'll take him for, Japanese or sushi or something like that. Ask him where he wants to go and take him. And then now he's getting to the age where because he's about to get his permit, where we're sitting in the car and talking about the car and like driving and things like that. So now we look at cars together, we research cars together. And so things like that. So my recommendation is find out what your 13-year-old is really into and do more of that with your 13-year-old. I also find too, like sometimes you have to get your kids going. And my kids will like bitch and moan, like I'll say, hey, let's go for a walk, or let's go for a hike, or let's go, just go for a walk around the block. But then afterward they'll be like, oh, I'm so glad we did that. Or let's go for a picnic. Like, let's order Jersey Mike subs and get a blanket and just go sit out. We have a field across the street from our house. Let's just go sit out there and have a sandwich. And everybody will bitch and moan about it, but afterward they're like, that was really nice just to get out a little bit, But yeah, with teenage boys, it's a little bit harder. With girls, it's easier because they always love to shop. Zoe's always down. She loves Michaels. She loves Anthropologie, and she loves, going through the makeup stores, Morphe and stuff, in the mall, and Sephora. Like with girls, it's really easy, but boys, they don't wanna do as much of that stuff. Lady Nada, we will talk more about Lady Nada. I'm starting to work with Team SG about Lady Nada. She's a figure of justice and balance and right outcomes. So she's an archetype. She kind of reminds me of Athena's energy in a way, but she's an ascended master who brings in all those energy streams of wisdom and alignment and truth. And so, yeah, I really have been thinking, Janine, about developing something around Lady Nada, or incorporating Lady Nada into some of the work that we do together too. You love High School Musical? It's just fun. And Nick loves to watch, so we watch a lot of that. My kids love Gordon Ramsay. They just love that he's kind of a jerk to people sometimes, and he says fuck a lot, and my kids love Gordon Ramsay. I love Gordon Ramsay too, so we watch a lot of, and they like the cooking shows with the kids their age, where Gordon Ramsay is like, has I forget what it's called, like but where he brings in the kids. So we'll watch Gordon Ramsay stuff together. They like that. My kids are always up for going to a movie too. Like we just went and saw Maverick in the theater. We're gonna go see the Jurassic Park movie. I want to go see Maverick again because it was such a good movie. And And I just, I know it's COVID times, but we go to the theater that we go to has recliner seats, and I bring blankets, so we really get cozy. We put the recliners up, we snuggle up in blankets, we get popcorn, and I hope that's helpful for you. And by the way, if you guys have other suggestions for things that you do with your teenagers, would you please share them? Because it is tricky. They're at this age, they're starting to pull away from us, and yet we know they really need us now more than ever. And so if you have suggestions for things that you like to do, the other thing that we did that wasn't too expensive, because we have a pool table. And so Nick came home one day and he's like, Mama and Dada, on Amazon they have oh my God, I'm tired after teaching straight for all these days. My brain isn't working. Ping pong. They have a ping pong just topper that you can put on your pool table so that you can play ping pong. That's super fun. Or you could get some kind of, game that you can play outside, something like that. So yeah, all those things work. What is the skin washing? Do you mean in general? So for me, skin washing is really important, right? Because it's the first line of exfoliation. So my mom was a skincare expert. She was an esthetician, and she taught me from a very early age, you have to wash your face every day. Sometimes I don't. I'm guilty as charged. Sometimes I'm really busy and I don't wash my face every day, but usually I wash my face every day. I usually wash it at night before I go to bed. And using the cellulose sponges helps to exfoliate your skin. And then I use a clay cleanser, and the clay cleanser I use is it's a really good clay cleanser. I'll tell you this one too. It's by a really popular brand. Usually it comes up. Oh, here it is. Kiehl's clay cleanser is so good, especially because I still get breakouts. I still have acne sometimes. This is the best clay cleanser I've ever used. It's called Rare Earth Deep Pore Cleanser with Amazonian white clay. Both of the kids have a tube of this, and I have a tube of this. And I tell the kids they have to use that at least twice a week. And then I use, we're actually formulating our own face wash at Sage Goddess right now, so I'm in the process of testing it, and it's really nice. Before that, I always used Dermalogica Special Cleansing Gel. And then I would alternate between the Kiehl's clay cleanser and the Dermalogica Special Cleansing Gel. I love that. Karina said, I'm glad you like TikTok too, Katrina. It's fun. And with your kids, I think that's quality time, sitting there scrolling through and looking at funny shit. Like, Nick and I both like to watch cat videos on TikTok because he and I are like cat people. Zoe's not as much into it, but Nick and I we have a whole text thread going of just cat pictures and cat TikToks and cat videos because we love it. And again, it's just about figuring out what do you love that's mutual and making sure that you're sharing some of that. But Karina said, such a gift for me that you've helped me to allow me to prioritize self-care. Because she said, so much guilt in the past to take time for me. I'm doing it this week, first vacation in more than a year. It's a really big deal, and taking care of yourself is important. No one's going to do it for you. And if you can turn it into a ritual, like for me, I put on beautiful music like this, and at night, and I turn off most of the lights, and I put my headband on, and I really get into the process of like washing my face and like massaging my face and using my gua sha, and it's you time, rather than just going, now I have to wash my face. It's like, no, I'm gonna enjoy this. I'm gonna really, like, as I'm like washing my eyes, like giving thanks for my eyes, and like giving thanks to my lips and my mouth and my like making it a ritual is really sweet. So yeah. Oh, I love that. Vanya said, my grandma used vinegar instead of conditioner for hair. Now, are you talking about like the white vinegar, like the distilled vinegar? I think you probably are, right? My grandma never used apple cider vinegar. My grandma always had the one that smells, I think it smells really bad. It's the one I use to clean my kitchen. But it's really funny. My house is about 40 years old, and parts of it were remodeled before we bought the house. but some parts weren't. And so some of the fixtures, like, in the kitchens and the kitchen and the bathrooms are old. And they had like really hard scale calcium deposits and stuff on it. And I kept telling Dave, I think I'm going to have to get new fixtures for the kitchen and the bathroom. And it was actually TikTok. I actually just searched on TikTok like how to clean bathroom fixtures and kitchen fixtures, because I was like, it's going to be expensive to replace those things. The distilled vinegar in a spray bottle took all of that hard scale and everything off. Probably saved me, like $500-$600 to replace, even just for basic fixtures. They look brand new. So sometimes you learn things like that. And I know vinegar is like what can't it do? It can condition your hair and take calcium deposits off your faucets and stuff, so you don't have to change them, right? Yeah. Just talk to your son. At 13, they're starting to close the door and close you out, and so I just keep showing up. Hey, what you doing? What are you doing now? What are you doing now? Or I'll say, hey, you want to order some food and sit and hang out? Or do you want to, or I'll come to him and go, hey, I got donuts. Want to come have donut time? You know what I mean? And kind of lure them out of their room, because the gaming thing, especially with teenage boys, can be so overwhelming. And now at my son's age, he's got this group of friends, and like they're here right now outside and hanging out, and they're always together. And so it's like I have to find my time in between his hangout time with his peoples, Zoe Gonzalez, can we please talk about how to connect deeper with and work with our ancestors? It's a beautiful question. Okay, so ancestors. It's an interesting conversation for me because my mom's passing has complicated a lot of what I have always thought I've known about ancestors and ancestral connection and how to work with them in ceremony, because and it's interesting because I had this whole dream sequence last night where a spirit guide was talking to me. It was such a real dream, and saying, because I've been having this thing with my mom where like I feel like I can't find her, you know what I mean? I don't feel her around very often, and I just thought I would, because we were really close. She had a lot of illness and dementia, and she was on a lot of pain medication the last 3 to 5 years of her life, so she wasn't always as present, but we were really tight. And I had this whole dream sequence last night with a spirit guide telling me, like showing me where my mom is and why I can't reach her, because she's still, I can't remember the word they used. It was a word though, but it's like she's in a holding place, like she's rehabilitating. So she can communicate with me, but not in the same way that she will be able to eventually. And because of how sick she was. Like, I guess when our bodies really break down in our human lives, it still takes time in the spirit world to kind of reconcile all of that. And I always think of spirit time as being faster than human time. So I'm like, really? Because she's been gone for 10 months. It's like, we're still having to, go through this. But in any case, I share all of this with you because I think of her as an ancestor now, but the newer ancestors sometimes take a little bit longer for us to be able to access them, and then the older ancestors seem more accessible to me. Like they've found their place in that outer matrix of wherever they go, right? It seemed like they're more able to communicate. And also, not everybody in my life, my ancestors died so ill, you know what I mean? Like a lot of people were just a little bit healthier, they got old, but they weren't as debilitated as my mom was in her final years. So working with your ancestors is really important. I had one teacher, and I have to say, I've shared this perspective with you before, but my thinking has really changed, and I don't know that I agree with her anymore, so I'm going to share the perspective with you, just because you'll probably find it interesting. But I also want to encourage you, just like I've done, it's like, filter that through whether it feels accurate and right for you, because after I really started to think about it for a while, I'm like, I don't know if I agree with that. So her perspective was, before you work with your ancestors, you should say, that you only want to work with ancestors who have found their way to what she called the healed light. So her theory was that some ancestors, when they die, don't move to a healed place. They can move to an unhealed place where they aren't in a positive environment energetically. And so it can be counterproductive to work with those ancestors. So whenever she was working with ancestors, even with me, she would call in my ancestors, but only my ancestors who are in a healed space. This was like 4, 5, 6 years ago that I was really listening to her and following that. But, you know, since then I've had so many experiences that have told me that I think that's a very human 3D way of looking at things. I think on the other side, it is a oneness. You know, and I know that there are complicated views of like, do they go to hell? Do they go to heaven? Do they, you know, like maybe that's what she meant by not in a healed space, right? But I ultimately believe that on the other side, everything is transmuted. My mom is teaching me that it takes time to transmute, especially illness, where the body isn't functioning. It takes time to transmute that. But energetically, I do think there's a oneness on the other side that unifies all energy, and that makes all of us capable of working with and learning from and engaging with each other in healthy and positive ways, if that makes sense. So it can be anything from just studying what we call epigenetics, which is understanding your lineage lines, your matrilineal, which is your mother line, and your patrilineal, which is your father line. And one of the ways I think about that is in the context of trauma. You know, when you have ancestors on both sides, like I do, who went through war and intense loss and grief and trauma, and I think about my kids who now have not only my ancestors who both sides had trauma, but they have Holocaust survivors, right, on their grandfather's side. So they have extra epigenetics that, you know, layered on top of mine. It definitely makes for people who have, in my opinion, more anxiety, because in this lifetime, even if you've never experienced trauma, because there's something in your line that tells you that things could go wrong and you may not know when, right? So there's this sense of like always being on edge and always being like almost waiting for the other shoe to drop, or just not trusting. That can be one of the outcomes of having heavy traumatic epigenetics in your lineage. So for me, what I've tried to work on is helping heal the trauma in the lines, and I do that through plant medicine and through shamanic journey and through visualization and meditation. Like I will literally visualize the matrilineal side, right, which is I'm using my left hand, but that's your receiving, right, and the patrilineal side on the right side, and literally just visualize those like pipes, like big round pipes, and imagine just sending through those pipes peace and love and transmutation of any and all traumas across all timelines and dimensions, and then feel the reverberation of that clarity and that healing coming back through those lines toward me, and then anchoring that in my heart space or in my solar plexus, right, which is where trauma tends to be stored for me, right? So that's kind of a long answer to your question, but it's such an interesting, everybody looks at working with ancestors differently. And for me, a lot of it is recognizing that I carry their beauty and I carry their magic and I carry their wisdom, but I also carry their fear and their anxiety and their helplessness, you know, their suffering. And so part of my work is how do I hold both? And I believe that when we do healing work in this lifetime, that it reverberates through. You know, in shamanism, we say 7 generations, 7 generaciones, backward and forward, right? So I'm not just healing it for my grandparents that I knew or knew of, but I'm also healing it for their grandparents. And then I'm healing it for Nick and Zoe's great-grandchildren, you know, who hopefully won't have to continue to bear the burden and the balance of all the things that have happened, because they'll have their own challenges that they'll have to face, right? I believe that my grandchildren will face something of a climate crisis on this planet unless we reverse some courses here, and I won't be here to see what that looks like. And so I pray for it. I pray for a shift. But I also know that, I have to clean up as much as I can of the past, because they will have their own challenges to face that may be very different. Let's see. Yeah, and that's like, can we just get a list of all the products? I gave you like 20 recommendations tonight. I know I kind of inundated you. We'll work on it. I know Karen really well, and I'm sure she's sitting there making notes of everything. She's very thorough, so. Brittany Rogers, since joining Soul Shift 3.5 years ago, my clairsentience with people and nature is strengthening dramatically. At times, it's becoming nearly paralyzing. Any recommendations for managing it? Yeah. The number one thing is as we develop these gifts, Brittany, and it's beautiful that you mention it and that we're talking about it, because as we develop these gifts, everybody wants the psychic gifts. We get all excited, and then the other side of it is, how do you manage it once they really become active? It's like I said, it can become a blessing and a challenge at the same time. So it's about energetic boundaries. I do the egg technique. And the egg technique isn't just for protecting yourself. It's also for mitigating how much energy from other people's fields comes into your field. And the other thing is really practicing what I teach you about, at the end of every day, calling your energy back to yourself and sending everybody's energies back to them. It's so important, because the overwhelm of clairsentience is that you truly begin to feel everything, and you're not here to feel everything, right? So you can work on your energetic boundary management, which is so important, which again is just like putting that field of light around you, that egg of light, and that's your auric boundary. Working with crystals like Izurine, like I said. And then also making sure that you are sending everybody's energy back to them at the end of every day, because at least for me, Brittany, I don't know if you've had this experience, but it's kind of cumulative, meaning if I don't send everybody's energy back to them today, and then I forget and I don't do it the next day, and then I forget and I don't do it the next day, it's almost like I'm all of a sudden living with 8,000 people. And also dialogue with your spirit guides. I am not here to be everybody's psychic, right? I always joke with my spirit guides, like, I don't need to know that the guy in the produce section at Trader Joe's, is having night terrors, and I don't need to know that the woman behind me in line, her husband's cheating on her, and I don't need to know all of that. It's not helpful to them, because I'm not going to tell them that, and it's not helpful to me. But I feel, I sense, I see, I hear, and it's a beautiful thing. But as you develop your boundaries and work with your guides, and then you can have the conversation like, okay, if I'm doing a reading for you, then now is the time for me to be highly clairsentient, because now I want to feel you, right? I want to know what's happening. And so that's when I can let my guard down, and you can, your spirit guides can open your field to me, and we can get into that dance and that negotiation of energy. But I mean, the Trader Joe's thing is kind of no joke. It's a lot sometimes, right? So I hope that's helpful. and you know what? Like, sometimes it's just the little tips and techniques that make such a big difference. It doesn't have to be this big, like, massive things that we do. It's the very subtle thing, exercises and daily kind of practices that make such a big difference. Okay, the feed kind of jumped a little bit, so let me go back in. Yeah, Lauren, I think so too. She was saying Abraham Hicks says that we just become pure positive energy when we make our transition. That's what I think too. Yeah, and I do believe there's a oneness that we return to. Karen Carly, if a soul is reincarnated, how can they also be a spirit guide? Maybe our energy takes on multiple places and timelines at the same time. It's true. And here's my 2 cents. And honestly, Karen, how do I know? So whenever I tell you these things, I mean, I know you know that, but I'm like, it's just my best thinking based on what I've seen and journeys and experiences I've had. And then also working with so many thousands of people around the world, right? I don't think we reincarnate right away. And I do think there's an end to the reincarnation cycle at some point. Now, I don't know how that's determined, but I do think that and I think there are some souls that never incarnate. I think I told you this already, that I had an ayahuasca journey where I was told by a spirit guide that I should come back from that journey and start really enjoying my life, because I'm kind of an incarnation junkie. They didn't use those words, but they said that they know that I like to come back here, and that at some point they're not going to let me anymore. So I should enjoy this. And that was a profound, you ask me sometimes, like, how do you know if it's them or if it's just you and your voice or whatever? I would never have said that to myself. But they were like, you should. I know life is weird and stressful and unpredictable and all those things, but you should go back and do your best to enjoy it, because we're not going to just keep saying yes to you going. And because there's something in me that I like the ride of being human, even though it fucking sucks sometimes, you know what I mean? But it's more exciting in some ways than being on the other side, which is very there's a uniformity on the other side, and a similarity and a oneness and a connection, and it's beautiful and it's powerful and it's overwhelming and it's holy and it's awful, it's awe-inspiring, right? But it isn't this. It isn't the up and down and the in and the out. And no, you never know. And what's this person going to do? And how are they going to respond? And oh, here's this thing coming out of left field or whatever, right? Yeah. So I have a feeling. I don't know. I may have another go at this, but I don't know how many more goes at it I have. My mom was very religious. Yeah. Very, very religious. So was my grandmother. On both sides. So, very, very Christian, yeah. But having said that, my mom, and part of, I think, why my mom and my grandmother were religious and very Christian is the same reason that, at my core, you know this, I'm quite Christian. And the reason for that is the 3 of us have all had experiences with what I would call incarnate evil. All of our experiences were very different, but we've all had experiences with like a lived experience of something very, very dark, where the only thing that saved us or helped us was invoking some of our Christian beliefs at the time. And when you have an experience like that, it's very hard to deny it. It's very hard to say that it's not true. I don't proselytize, because I don't think everybody has to be a Christian to for any reason, but for us, it's been shown to us that that's a path that's accurate. So she was very, very, very religious, and I remember both of them when I was very young saying, at some point you will be too, right? But you have to have your own experience of this if it's going to be the right path for you. And I did, and I hope never to have that experience again, but it was enough to teach me and show me that, at least for me, that is an accurate path. Interesting. Christine said, I feel like my mom took so long to come through. She was so physically ill, mental, physically. I knew I could feel and smell her presence, but now she's coming through after 19 years of passing. Really, Christine? Isn't that interesting? It gives me a little hope, to be honest, because it's like, where are you? And yet, even in my dream last night, they were telling me, like, this is why she's not coming through, right? Cheryl Cole says, confirmation guides showed me during Elder Council that I'm a bridge between worlds to heal both sides. I don't doubt it. Well, that's what a shaman is. I mean, how do you begin? You would pursue some shamanic training. There's 1,000 ways to do that too, right? Because there's so many different shamanic paths, right? I'm kind of partial to some of the Central and South American traditions. There's a shamanic tradition known as the Q'ero tradition, Q'ero, and it's always resonated with me. So you might like start by just going down a rabbit hole like that. And there are some shamanic teachers and paths and traditions that haven't resonated with me as much. It has to speak to you. But if you think about it, I mean, the literal definition of a shaman is someone who stands between two worlds, right? This world and that world, and can move between both of them and not fully be in one or the other. And it's incredibly difficult. But that to me is the kind of the origin, you know, or the root of what that word means. Oh, interesting. Karina said, when her sister passed, she was terribly ill. The guides told her she was exploring. Her name was Lavette. Beautiful name. A couple months later, Comet Lovejoy was discovered. And there she was. Oh, I love that so much. And there she was. Yeah. Yeah. Do I believe in heaven, hell, and purgatory? It's hard for me because I have had an experience of evil. So I do believe that there is good and evil that can take physical form. I haven't ever in a journey or meditation or visualization seen something that would be like a hell. But if there is incarnate evil that can take a human form, then it must reside somewhere. But I don't know that I believe that there's these places. The other thing from Christianity that I wish I had my grandmother here now to talk to her about it, because she was so smart. She was a really smart Christian. And she can answer the tough questions, you know what I mean? She wasn't afraid of it. And she would thought partner, you know what I mean? Like, well, that's interesting. Let's look that up. Or I don't know, but let me talk to somebody else. I always found her very well-versed and educated, especially for her age and for the time. Remember, because she was studying to be a minister in the 40s, in the 1940s, and women weren't really doing that, and there wasn't even really like wasn't as well established as it is now. So I wish I had more of her presence here now to teach me, because I have so many better questions to ask her than I did then. But what I definitely know is not true is that heaven is somewhere up there, you know what I mean? And hell is somewhere down there. I don't believe like the middle of the planet is hell and that heaven is like up in the clouds or whatever. I think that's human beings trying to understand something that isn't human. I think the other dimensions of reality are literally right here. It's just that we can't see them because of how slowly we vibrate and how fast they vibrate. They're vibrating at a different frequency, so we can't see them. And the only reason we can see each other is that we're vibrating at such a low frequency, which is why we're susceptible, by the way, to grief and death and illness and all these things, because no matter how high your vibe is, you are still in the third dimension, and the third dimension is low and slow, and these frequencies of illness and death and disease all live here in this dimension. We do our best to escape them as much as we can by raising our vibration within the boundaries of what's possible for this dimension. But I wish I could talk to my grandma and say, but heaven isn't like up in the sky, right? Like it's not like, oh, there's heaven or something. It's like that's not how it works. Yeah, these are interesting conversations. Yeah, so Chanel said another way to use ancestral contact is to summon only those of positive energies. Yeah, you can do that too, right? That sort of goes along with my former teacher's belief that there are people who moved into healed space or didn't move into healed space. Christine says, how do you feel about petitions? I feel like it's writing your intention down and forgetting it. What's your advice on them? I don't really do petitions. But I mean, and not for any particular reason. It's not like I don't think they work. It's just, it's never been something that I've really been trained in or taught other people. But there are a lot of people who really do believe in them. A petition is sort of like a written claim to energy. And so for me, it's so close to intentions that I think of them as almost the same thing. But sometimes petitions can be more specific, but I don't think it's a bad thing to do. Let's see. You're welcome. Jacqueline said, I haven't felt my dad very much since he passed in February. He was very sick, had a lot of healing to do, and I'm glad he's in a healing space now. I think it takes a little while. And I don't know how long exactly, you know? But my dream was very much like it could be a while longer. And I remembered feeling both like grateful to know that and also sad to know that at the same time. Yeah. Gail said, do you think when a soul reincarnates, it's harder to actually connect to them or get them to see, or get them to when you are seeking to connect? I don't know. You know, and the reason I say that is, like, I know I've had past lives, but I can feel when souls are trying to reach me. Don't you ever feel that? So I feel like I can be incarnated here as Athena, right? But still be sensitive enough to feel the energies of people and entities and that are trying to reach me. But that's my best answer. I don't think it cuts us off, in other words, from being accessible as an ancestor. Yeah. But it's a powerful question, right? Megan said, I have a teacher who's a paranormal investigator, interesting, who says it takes 6 months to a year after people pass before they show up for us. That's somebody who would know. I mean, I would take that person's opinion pretty seriously, right? Somebody who's done paranormal investigations, I think, would have a pretty valid perspective on that, because this is somebody who's had a lot of experience, right? And Linda said, my father, when he died, went into personal exile. Some called it purgatory, and it took years for him to come out into the light. That was when I was able to connect with him through meditation. Yeah, it's interesting, right? Yeah, I see you, Matt Helper. Michelle said, I was very close to my father, but seldom had any kind of connection with him, and he's been gone for 20 years. I just don't think he wants to. I will say this. I hear what you're saying. I don't know if it's so much that they don't want to, or just that they're busy. You know, the way my sister and my brother and I had this conversation, I may have mentioned this to you before, but maybe some of you hadn't heard it. Because they were both like, God, you know, it's so weird, we don't feel her, we don't, all those things. And I was like, but you know, remember, you know, my mom had a miscarriage while she was alive before me. And so I said, remember, at the very least, she has her sister, she has her mom, she has that baby she lost to now go and reconnect with. And some of her best friends had died, you know, before she died. So I'm like, she's got Mary, she's got Mona, right? She's got her beloved stepfather who died, you know, when she was a little girl, and she never got over that. So and she's buried near him at her request. So she's got Howard. She's got her dad. And then how many other lifetimes did she live? And how many other people did she lose and love and want to be connected to and try to connect to and all of that for how many, potentially thousands of years? And my sister and I and my brother said they both felt that perspective was really helpful to them. You know, it's like, it's really easy for us to go, well, she doesn't want to connect with me. And it's like, but I'm one tiny piece of her imprint, like a speck of her imprint, right? And, you know, I can make an assumption that when I go, you know, hopefully a long time from now, but there will be people that I will be so excited to connect with. And so will I want to connect with my kids? You know, of course I will, but I'm also gonna, it has to feel like a reunion, doesn't it? Of epic proportions, because it's not just the lifetime that you knew them and all the people they loved and all the people they touched and all the, you know, ones they loved and lost. It's the life before that and the life before that and the life before that and the life before that. Something to think about, right? Oh, I'm so glad, Kim Holland. Yeah. Yeah, transmuting back to unconditional love and peace, right? Let's see. Yeah. Oh, interesting. Jill McCoy said it's been new to me this year and much more so suddenly the past 2 weeks. Yeah, and it's interesting once you start to open your awareness to these things, have you noticed it like shifts your awareness of other stuff too? It's like, well, if that's true, then this other thing must be true as well, and then this other thing must be true as well, and this other, and, you know, it's like, whoa, how much gets illuminated? Do you know what I mean? Once you start to put some of these pieces together. You know what I've been really sitting with the last couple of weeks and months? I don't know if this is interesting to you, but since we're doing this rabbit hole thing. And I do treasure these conversations, by the way, because it feels like we're all in a room together, just friends sitting around chatting about interesting things. I know we're not in the same room together, but it feels like it. You know, we put all of this stock and energy into everything about this life, right? Like who we are and what we do for a living and the relationships that we have and whether we have children or don't have children or we're married or not married and our friendships and what happens to the friendships and we lose some friendships and we gain some friendships and we learn new things and we grow and evolve. And again, I think it was my mom's passing that reminded me of this too. But you came here by yourself and you're going to leave by yourself. Like nobody's going with you. Nobody you know is going with you when it's your time to go, right? Not at that exact moment, usually. Sometimes they do, but that's very rare. And so it's like, if we can stop and recognize that to some extent this is all a dream. You know, I called my mom's death the roll-up door. It's like the door rolled up and she's gone, and other than the people that she loved, there's very little left, right, in the wisdom that she gave us while she was here. It's like the roll-up door. And what happens when you have such an up-close, personal, intense experience of death, someone you knew really well, who loved you very intensely, you realize, like, it's time to take it all just a little less seriously. Try to enjoy it, try to learn from it, try to grow from it. I do think we carry the wisdom from lifetime to lifetime. I think we carry the love from lifetime to lifetime. You know, I think we continue to kind of re-encounter these people in our web over and over again in different roles and in different ways, but the reality is, like, to some extent this is a dream, you know, that is so short on a certain level. And so it's like just not taking it all too seriously, not getting too wrapped up in it, you know. And also the other thing in line with that for me has been, I want to do what I can while I'm here to make this place a better place, you know, because that is the one thing that my future ancestors will be able to look at and say is like, you know, she supported good causes, or she helped the environment, or she, you know, helped people heal from trauma so that they had more loving, tender relationships, which, you know, helped people, you know, heal their trauma and enjoy their lives more, so they had happier connections while they were here and created less trauma for other people. Like, those are things I think we can do that do have a lasting imprint. But the rest of it's so ephemeral and so fleeting, you know. Let's see, do I have the time set up yet for face and body tools yet, the gua sha tools? No, I haven't done it yet. Now that I can breathe, you know, because it's really been very back-to-back in my world for the last couple of weeks, I will be recording it. It's not going to be the cutest video you ever saw, Che. It's going to be me in my bathroom with my headband on and no makeup going, "Hi, Che." Check it out. I'm going to wash my face and do my thing and probably do a little, you know, gua sha on my body too, but it'll be coming soon. It's on Claire's radar, which is how you know it'll actually happen. Are our spirit guides or other, this is Madison, are our spirit guides or ancestors or other spirits, okay, are they assigned to us at birth, with us for life, or do our guides change? I think it's all of the above. I really do. I think some of our spirit guides are ancestors. My dad's mom always comes to Elder Council. I don't know why. She's often there. And then I think we have some spirit guides who are with us for a long time, maybe not the whole journey. She died when I was 13, 14 years old. And then I think you get certain spirit guides that come in for certain experiences that you have or will have. And sometimes you can kind of feel the shift, like, oh, there's some new kids on the block. You know what I mean? Like, you can kind of feel that there's a different vibration or frequency around you. So yeah, I think everything you said is true, at least based on my experience. Lauren said, if you're comfortable with it, can you share more about your near-death experience? Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It was very brief. I was having oral surgery, and they over-anesthetized me. And, you know, and I usually am somebody who doesn't respond easily to anesthetic. They have to give me a lot to knock me out, like a horse. So I'm a really small person, but it takes just a lot to get me down. But it takes a lot of anything to affect me, like alcohol, everything. Like it takes more to affect my system for some reason than other people's. So they had given me too much anesthetic, and I remembered consciously thinking to myself, something's not right, but I couldn't tell what it was, and I kind of couldn't move. I mean, I was in kind of a numb state. But they had monitors on me. And all of a sudden I remember my eyes were closed, but I remember the lights got very bright. And I could hear the dentist saying, we're losing her. And they were doing all the things that they do. And the monitor, I remember hearing different monitors coming into the room and out of the room. And then I remembered everything kind of going dark for a minute. And the only way I can describe it to you is it felt really good. It felt like the best feeling I've ever had. And I was conscious enough to, I remember saying to myself, I don't know if I said it out loud, but I remember saying it to myself, if everybody in my life will be okay, I don't want to come back from wherever this is I'm going. If my kids will be okay, I want this. It felt like I was sliding off of the earth, is how I've described it. Like everything was shifting and tilting, and I was morphing and shifting, and I could feel a light. I could feel like the warmth, the intensity of a light. Okay, I couldn't see anything, but I could feel it. But there was this overwhelming sense of like love and excitement almost, and joy and comfort, and like it was beautiful. And I remember as soon as I thought to myself or said to myself, if my kids will be okay, I don't want to come back from this. Everything was back. My eyes were open. I was back, and there were all these people in the room, and I was like instantly back as soon as I said that. And this was like 10 years ago. So obviously they still needed me, but it was good enough where I was like, okay, all right, wow. I don't, if everybody will be okay, can I just stay here? And then it was like, no, you can't. Yeah. Oh, interesting. Yeah, see, Hillary's got Holocaust survivors too. There is a lot of healing and transmutation that has to happen around things like Holocaust, because of depending on what your family members' experiences were, but because it wasn't just the death through those terrible means, but it was the starvation and the fear and all of that. My energy worker that I work with, who's also a clinical psychotherapist, is Jewish and has Holocaust survivors in her line, and we talk about epigenetic fear because my family were not Holocaust survivors, but my grandmother, my dad was 3 when the war happened, and she had 5 other kids, and my grandfather had gone off to fight, and they bombed their entire village. I've told you this story before. And my dad says his only memory is they had packed up everything they had in a truck, and my grandmother was sitting up on top of like boxes holding him, and he remembers the truck like jumping and her holding him while they drove away, and he was like, there was nothing. Everything was gone. They had no food. So those kinds of things where you have like and they didn't know where their dad was, or if he was coming back. Like those kinds of experiences, I think, sit in your groundwater, you know? And so anytime you're triggered around like food shortages or, you know, rumors of war or, you know, genocide in other countries and stuff like it, all of that stuff can kind of well up, and we have to work on the transmutation of that. That's why the field of epigenetics is so right, because a lot of our healing isn't just healing of stuff right now, and this is all one generation back. It's not like this is 3,000 years ago, right? This is right still in your central nervous system. So have you and Zoe ever had a dream that was almost the same or close to the same plot? I haven't, but you know, it's interesting because she does lucid dreaming, and she was doing it last night because I think I told you she was sick last night, so she slept in bed with me, and she was like, I woke up at 2 a.m. and I was checking her for a fever, and she was wide awake, and I was like, Zoe, you have to try to get some sleep, you know? And she was like, oh, I'm doing the thing where I watch the particles. And I was like, what? She used to call them sparklies, and she's like, no, I halfway close my eyes, and then I can see all the particles in the room, and they move. They go around the bed, so I just watch them. I watch the particles move, and if I do that long enough, then I fall asleep. And I was like, you're a trip, kid. And I was like, I want to watch the particles. How do I watch the particles? Maybe I'm not watching enough High School Musical. But it's cool that you and your little had a very similar dream. I love hearing that and knowing that. Kelsey said, what are your experiences with psilocybin? I like it. It's a little unpredictable. You know, it comes down to set and setting like everything else, right? I'm not a recreational psilocybin person. I don't think any plant teacher should be used recreationally. Not even alcohol, really. My thinking on that has evolved over time too. Because I think alcohol is a plant teacher. It just, we're not taught to respect it. So, I have quite a few friends who microdose psilocybin and have had really powerful effects on depression and anxiety. I like it because it's very visual. You know, I like to see all the things. Sometimes ayahuasca is visual for me, and sometimes it's not. And most people, the first ayahuasca journey is the most visual, and then after that, it gets less and less and less visual over the years. So now that I've done it like 10 times, it isn't very visual for me. Whereas psilocybin's always visual for me, and I do enjoy that part of it. So Carly said, my mom passed 7.5 years ago. I can't feel her, but a psychic medium told me she is with me in a big way and taking up space, so it was hard for my dad to get through. Is that true to your experience, Carla, of them in life? Did your mom kind of take up too much space on the stage and it didn't leave enough room for your dad? I would be curious to know that. Kilo Kaylee said, I made a grid last night to shine white light on and heal family lineage. It's so beautiful that you did that. It's really beautiful. Yes, Lorraine Hendricks. Athena, can you please explain how the 7-year life cycle works? Yes, I can, and it's fucking interesting. Because do you know it's microcellular, the 7-year cycle? Literally every 7 years, every cell in your body does a cycle count. It does a cycle turnover. So that's why, like, the texture of your hair will change. My weight fluctuates in 7-year cycles. I will be at my thinnest, and then at the midway point I'll be at my heaviest, and then at the top of the cycle I'll be at my thinnest again. And it almost doesn't matter what I eat or don't eat. It's a 10-pound flux, but it definitely is cyclical when it happens like that. 7 years, so 7 in every spiritual tradition, but especially in like the Chinese and the East Asian traditions, is thought to be a holy number that represents the opening and the closing of the door. And it has to have some connection to the microcellular changes that happen in our own human body. Like your fingernails change, your hair changes, your skin changes, everything changes. So, and even I had a friend who's talking to me about relationships and how relationships go through these 7-year cycles. So most marital conflicts happen at 7, 14, 21, 28, 35 years, because again, you're going through these cycles within cycles, right? Or cycles within relationships. And so again, both partners are completely turning over everything about themselves. and almost have to make a recommitment to stay in the relationship. It's usually not a conscious process unless you make it a conscious process. And then I have a friend who's an astrologer who says that Saturn does a 7-year cycle. So you have your major Saturn returns, right, at 28 to 32 and 58 to 62. But she says that there are micro Saturn cycles at 7 years. It's interesting stuff. Catherine says, I did a soul retrieval with a shaman. The message from the ancestors was that I was carrying contracts that didn't belong to me. I have no doubt. And I bet a lot of us are carrying around shit that it's like, you know, is that really my work now? Can I let that go? Yeah. Anxiety is a way of keeping you safe. Fear and anxiety are both part of your autonomic, you know, nervous system, right? But what happens is, in some people, it's on overdrive, right? Usually because of, you know, brain chemistry and also just how you're taught to work with anxiety or fear, right? Some people lead very anxious, fearful lives, right? And that's also based in trauma. That's a trauma response, right? My mom had a really difficult childhood, very difficult childhood, one I wouldn't want anybody else to have. And so she was always afraid, you know, of traveling, of well, this could happen or that could happen, what if, and then all of that led her to not really fully embrace and live her life, which is sad, you know. So fear and anxiety on a basic level are just information, right? Unless and until we sort of, you know, we the relationship should be we sense fear and anxiety and we decide what to do with it, we manage it, and we release it if it's not actively directing us towards safety. But some people go a different route and end up attaching to the fear and anxiety, and it leads them instead of, it's like the tail wagging the dog, right? Yeah. I have not started my Lena body isolation classes because I've been so busy, but I'm obsessed with her and she knows I'm going to find her when I'm ready. I was supposed to start like a month ago, but again, I've got my book project and we had the retreat, and we've had a lot going on with classes, and so I'm hoping, you know, once the dust kind of settles, but hopefully before the Sage Goddess anniversary in a couple of weeks, because that's going to be another busy period at the end of July. But Poe, let me know how you do and how you enjoy it. And, you know, if you want to share pictures and videos, I would love to see. She's so beautiful. And she's a beautiful soul, too. Megan said, how can I heal my lineage when I myself traumatize my children? This is something I really want to know. You still can. Healing is always possible. And it's never too late. Truly. The most important thing you can do, truly, is to heal yourself. You know, my shaman always says, do your work. To almost everything. When I say, well, what about this? Well, why don't you do your work? Why don't you do your work and watch how that gets solved? You know? He's always like, look at you. You're always trying to do somebody else's fucking work. Why don't you do your work? To me, you know, and I'm always like, well, but, you know, if this person did this and then I could help with that, or, you know, well, they really need to look at that before I do this. And he's just like, okay, except no, and you do your work. And then you watch that. You know, the thing is, like, when there is real dense energy around you, and I'm going to say this, and it's going to sound maybe judgmental, and I want you to know that's not where my heart is. I'm not speaking to you directly, Megan, at all. I'm speaking about myself even. But when there's really dense and heavy energy around you, some part of you is making a home for it. Because that same energy isn't hanging around everybody, right? Some part of you is making a home for it. So your work is to figure out what is the part of you that's making a home for trauma. Is it your epigenetics? Is it that someone traumatized you and so it gets passed down, blah, blah, blah. But again, none of that is your work. Your work is to figure out what in you needs to be healed so that there's no space for those energies to be held anymore. And it is both the most simple thing you'll ever do and also the hardest thing you'll ever do, is to figure that out. Where is it in you that has a hook? What part of you is consciously or subconsciously saying yes to that? And a lot of it, at least for me, a lot of it has come down to like not feeling worthy enough, always feeling different, not feeling good enough, not feeling seen, Like I was very quiet as a kid because it was just clear nobody really wanted to see me or hear me, you know what I mean? And then when I did speak up or I did do something, it was like, I needed attention. You know what I mean? So it didn't set me up in a good dynamic. And so for me, I had to, when I started to attract relationships that were problematic, it's because there was some part of me that was like, when all you want is to be seen or acknowledged or either not take up space or take up too much space, you end up attracting the wrong people. And it's like, so I'm making a home for this. I have to heal whatever that shit was that was going on, and which I have. I've spent the last 20 years doing that. So I make a home for a different kind of relationship. And that applies to everything, I think. I hope that's helpful. I don't know if it's helpful, but am I able to recommend a shaman to work with in the US for ayahuasca? No. Because it would put them at risk. And I can't do that. The people I know who facilitate ayahuasca ceremony really do so at their own peril because it's a controlled substance. So unfortunately I can't. But what a lot of people are telling me is they are working through Instagram because there's hashtags and people are finding people on Instagram and then they're connecting with them on Signal or on WhatsApp or whatever, because there's a lot of underground communication channels that people use now. Signal seems to be the one that's most popular. I don't use Signal, but I don't do a lot of underground communication, but the people in that world do. So you got to set the intention and start snooping around, talking to people. But yeah, unfortunately for me, it would be way too risky for me to recommend anybody I know, because it's, at least in this part of my lifetime, it's not safe for them, I wish I could. Can I talk more about the Chiron return? Mine just started last week. Yeah, my Chiron return started last week. It happens at 49. It's tough. I just had a reading with an astrologer, a new astrologer, not Tara, whose expertise is partly in the Chiron return. And it was an interesting reading. But the upshot is, Chiron, so the returns are when these planets or these asteroids come back to the exact place they were when you were born, right? So Chiron comes right back around 48, 49 years old. And Chiron is the wounded healer, right? So if you have not healed your core wound by the time you're 48 or 49 years old, and I know I've shared with you my core wound many times, right? That I'm not, on some level, I'm not lovable. And so it rooted in childhood stuff. So, and mostly I think a challenging relationship with my mom. When you have a challenging relationship with your mom when you're young, what it teaches you is that there's something probably wrong with you. Because your mom is supposed to love you kind of unconditionally, right? So if you don't get all of that, it leaves you thinking like there must be something wrong with me, because everybody else's mom really loves them unconditionally, so I must be not lovable. And then you end up projecting that out through your life, and it causes conflict and trauma. It disrupts relationships, right? So that's something I'm still working on. I was working on it with my intentions last night at the Cancer new moon, because that little girl in me still needs to feel like there isn't something fundamentally wrong with her. It's hard to talk about it, but it's true. Oh, I'm so glad, Vanya. Thank you for that. She's like, recognizing what those weird things are about me that I didn't know. Because we're all weird. It's not a contest. Maybe you're more weird than I am. Maybe I'm more weird than you are. Maybe it depends on the day, right? Protection rituals. Oh, there's so many. I mean, but even my thinking about protection, and I've told you this in recent years, has changed. I don't know how much we really need to worry about energetic protection as long as we are aligned to the frequency of love. You know? Darkness can't exist where love exists. It just can't. And I'm not talking about romantic love. I'm talking about the essence of pure love, like what I would call Christ consciousness. Absolute, divine, pure, beautiful light of love and clarity and peace. And if I rest in that, if I rest in that, in alignment with that love, I don't feel threatened. I don't feel like I have to run around, holding up the crucifix to everything. But there are people who do. There are people who feel like, nope, you have to absolutely lock it down and buckle up and think about protection and focus on protection and manifest protection and all of these things. But I don't know, my thinking has just really evolved. Now that could change again. I like to give myself the right to change my thinking about things over the years, because I meet so many people, and I'm constantly finding new teachers. Like this astrologer, somebody who was referred to me, and he was interesting, So yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking about it. Yeah. Oh, I'm so glad this is helpful. Yeah, isn't that true? It's a beautiful way of putting it, Emily Butler. You should write a book. Thank you, Barbara, by the way. Thank you, Marie. Isn't that interesting? Danusia says, I became a mom for my nieces and nephews because my sister was not there for them. Mm-hmm. And probably created massive healing for them in the process, right? Yeah. Thank you, Mermaid Crystal. My Chiron is in Aries, yeah. Sure is. Yeah. It's going to be a wild ride. Thank you, Janine. Yeah. For sure. Yeah, so those of you who are 48, 49, like, buckle up. It might be good for you to have an astrological reading to look at when your Chiron return is officially starting and what some of the challenges might be, right? What's conjunct your Chiron, because that's going to give you some details about how it might unfold or what it'll look like. So yeah, how do you identify and heal your core wound? Ask yourself what your patterns are. What are the primary patterns of challenges and difficulties that you tend to have in relationships? Can you see it? It's, yeah, for me, it was constantly like, no matter what a partner or friend or whatever would do, it wasn't enough, because I felt like, it's like, I didn't really know what it was to be really deeply unconditionally loved in that way. And so it took me a long time to figure out, oh, this is love. Okay. Which sounds so simple, but if you don't feel it, immediately, it's challenging. Yeah. I love seeing your conversations back and forth to each other, because you're just so accurate in your responses to each other. It's really beautiful. Okay, so see, some of you have friends who maybe you can connect each other to, that you're open to doing that. Yeah. Yeah, so Christina Goltari's, she's going to have hers in a few years. So do as much healing as you can in advance. It'll make it much easier for you. And yeah, I see you, Megan Estremera. It's tough, But the inner child healing really works. I mean, I sat this morning holding this. I took my crystals off of it. I'm going to redo my grid. But I really just wanted to hold the heart. So I took my grid off and put it over there. And just kind of sat holding it today. You know, all the little words I wrote. And I looked at it and I'm like, I still need to hear that. That I'm safe and pretty and I matter and I'm funny. You know what I mean? Like there's still part of me that needs to hear that. Yeah. So, but you know, the thing is, what I've learned, before we go, because we're almost at time. Hope you enjoyed class tonight. Happy early birthday. Oh, you turned 61 this past Monday. Oh, Lorraine, happy birthday. Yeah, your Chiron return is only going to happen once in your lifetime, so. Emily Butler wants to see pretty things. Maybe next time, just remind me and I'll bring some things for show and tell. If you're even thinking along these lines, like, you know, I don't want to pass this on to my kids, or I hope I'm not doing this, or I hope I'm not doing that, chances are like 99% that you're doing a great job. It's usually the people who are not thinking, you know, am I doing a good job? Am I giving my kids what they need? Am I showing up? You know what I mean? Like, there's no perfect way to parent. But, you know, by telling them how much you love them and by, you know, being a presence in their life and by, you know, being consistent, like, that's really all it requires, you know? And by telling your kids how special and unique and funny and smart they are in their own ways, you know, in authentic ways, then you're already doing it, right? Yeah. Yeah, Bianca said, I think my issue is at my core, I think people only love me when I'm willing to be who they want me to be, not just me as me no matter what. And me too. You know what I mean? I posted something on Facebook last night. Now I want to read it to you. It's public, but, you know, sometimes we miss each other's things. But there's a guy on Instagram that you should follow if you want to read inspiring things. Let me see if I can find him. I'll just show you the post and then you can find him separately. Jeff Brown Soul Shaping on Instagram. I just found him because my friend Matia Kali, you know, the musician, she recommended him to me. And it says, it's not about giving up on the fairy tale relationship. It's about landing it in reality. It's about giving the fairy feet. It's about peeling away the prince's armor and loving the real being down below. It's about wiping off the princess's makeup and loving her divine humanness. It's about finding romance in the naked fires of daily life. When our masks and disguises fall away, real love can reveal itself. Forget fairy tales. The human tale is much more satisfying. We just have to learn how to get turned on by humanness. Isn't that true? Yeah. Aw, thank you, Kaz. I love you so much. I really do. See on Facebook too? Yeah, follow him. He's a beautiful writer. There's another guy I follow. I can't remember his name, but if I see it, I'll post it. He's a military vet, but he's got like a viral following on Instagram because he's such a good writer. And he just writes. I mean, the stuff that comes out of this guy is just so gorgeous. And so his bio says something like, you know, former, you know, active military veteran and writer, and he's just so gorgeous as a writer. The stuff he writes just like curls my toes, you know? So isn't that beautiful? I know. Well, I need to add you as a friend. I'm just at the friend limit. So when people unfriend me, or I don't know, whatever happens, they fall off the planet, then I add you guys one by one. Because I know you can see my posts, but you can't comment on them, which is such BS. Like, why does Facebook do that? I love Facebook and I don't love Facebook. Yeah. I love that for you, Janine. We should all feel beautiful without makeup on, right? Wasn't it kind of perfect today, Zoe Gonzalez, for the new moon in Cancer? We were all kind of, I mean, we ended up talking about inner child and mothering and nurturing and relationships and healing and ancestors and, you know, and then that soft kind of yin flow with the harmonizers. And there was something very appropriate about tonight's session. So, yeah. I know. I will add you guys as soon as I can. I know. I literally, it's something like 2,000 people waiting. And I'm not bragging. It's the weirdest thing to me, but I'm doing it. I'm working on it. Yeah. So, yeah, and I think Facebook's in trouble, to be honest with you. I don't know. I see the landscape of social media changing, and I'm not sure what the Facebook folks are doing, but feels like we're moving more toward like a TikTok kind of Instagram reel world, like Reels versus Facebook. So I don't know. I think Facebook is going to have to do something to catch up. So yeah, so I'm going to go check on my Zoe, who hasn't been feeling well, and make sure she's okay. Thanks, you guys, for being here. It was a beautiful month with you. I'm so glad you like the music. This is from an app called Epidemic Spaces, and the mix is called Full Day Traditional Spa. So if you download that app, that's what it looks like. And you can leave it on. It's like a 24-hour loop. They don't repeat the songs. And it's just kind of beautiful to have on in the background, you know? It's gentle, it just kind of keeps the vibe flowing. So thank you. Thank you to Karen and Alexis for all your hard work, and Tara too. And yeah, aho and on we go. So the next time I will see you is next Wednesday, which will probably seem weird after seeing me just non-flippin' stop for the past 2 weeks. Monday is Independence Day. Team SG has the day off as a holiday, paid holiday. So we have session 1 for Morocco on Wednesday, July 6th. And I'll see you then. But I'll be, I'm doing my daily lives. Tomorrow and Friday, Alexis is going to be doing those for me because I have appointments all day in the afternoons. So, but then I'll be back with you Saturday, Sunday with my daily lives, and then, every day after that, forever. So cheers, everybody. Thank you. And thank you to Claire, too. She's always behind the scenes doing her magic, too. We've got a great team at SG. I should give lots of credit, too, to Brooklyn and to Merlin, who helps with our tools, getting your tools together. Anika helps with that, too. We've got quite a team. It takes a whole village to bring you, right? Do you want me to look up that the veterans Instagram? Let me see if I can find it for you real quick. If it's easy to find, I'll show you, and then if I can't find it easily, I will find it later and show you. Yeah, it's not coming up right away in my the people I'm following, but I am following him. I will find him though and share him with you because he's a beautiful soul. I mean, truly one of the most beautiful writers I've seen on Instagram. I'm so glad he followed his dream and and indulged his writing because it just comes from his soul and it speaks to my soul in a way that very little writing does. So I'll find it and I'll share it when I do. All right, you guys, have a great rest of